is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Everything College Basketball Podcast, episode 233. I'm, of course, your host, Josh Burton. And joining me again today is my esteemed colleague and friend, Mr. Michael DeRosa. And we are, you like that? I like throwing little adjectives and adverbs. I got to set the scene here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
100%, I got you.
Esteemed you are today, as my cats just knocked over their cat tree in the background. We are here today. The last episode on episode 231, we did the Big Ten preview. We are here today to do the Big East Conference preview. DeRosa, it is now October 7th. We have pro days. Some of them's already taken place. I know Arkansas was able to catch a lot of that yesterday, even though it was taking place on Sunday. Kentucky's is today. A lot of teams. Tennessee just had theirs, I believe, last night. We've got pro days. We've got Big Blue Madness and all the Midnight Madness is coming up. Exhibition play begins. Think about it. 2 weeks from this Saturday, Kentucky, Purdue, Rupp Arena. You've got Louisville and Kansas, I believe, the following day after that. The college basketball season is here, my friend.
Yeah, we're kind of back, Josh. We're in the heart of preview season. Thank you very much, Connor, for showing up.
He's always the first, isn't he? Always the first.
He probably was on the stream before I was.
Yeah.
Mad respect. But yeah, man, we're like getting really into the heart of the season. I'm really excited about it. Like, truly. I need basketball back on my TV, and we're about to get it. So it's going to make life better. We're back, Josh. We're back.
Well, the Reds broke my heart. I mean, yes and no. They made the playoffs. That's what I asked for at the beginning of the year, so I was happy about that. But they got swept, and it wasn't particularly close, so they broke my heart in that aspect. So baseball's done for me. Kentucky football, we don't even talk about around here. And then the Green Bay Packers are doing well, struggling last 2 weeks. Bye week probably came at the right time. But, dude, nothing compares to college basketball.
Nothing.
I mean, I was literally all day today when I had the opportunity was looking at tournament highlights from last year. Games from last year, just to kind of get in the mood and catching a lot of Big East teams from last year, kind of to re-jog my memory in some of these players and what to expect heading in this year. College basketball is the best, man, and we are literally at the doorstep of it now.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We're right here, man. I mean, what? And team I'm wearing a shirt of, Georgetown, takes on your team, Kentucky, in an exhibition in what? Like
3 weeks, I think. Because it's like the week after the Purdue game, so I think it's like 3 weeks, give or take. Yeah,
it's coming up, man. We're hitting up basketball season. Like John Rothstein's doing his annual tour of the country, where apparently I've learned is that he just like shows up to a gym, talks to like a staffer on it, and then like takes notes on his phone for like 12 minutes, and then just goes out and that's it, which is kind of awesome.
Do you want to stir some shit up today? Not really us stirring it up, but so Kentucky had their media day availability yesterday. And of course, you got a lot of great content from like KSR and the Kentucky media that's in the state. And even, I think maybe a little bit of national, but you got a lot of great content if you know where to look. And so they did player interviews with just about every player on the roster. And of course, the big man from Croatia just became available yesterday. Officially, there's no hang up with Andrea Jelovic's academic eligibility or anything. So they were talking to him in the interview, and something that piqued my interest that maybe not a lot of people caught, that I just thought it was hilarious. And I don't even think he meant to do it. They were asking about his connection with Big Z, Zvonimir Visic, right? And did Z give you any insight what Kentucky would be like? He said, yeah, me and Z talked. He said to enjoy it because, yeah, it's going to be basically the best moments of your life for basketball and just life in general as of right now. And the quote that got me, that Z told him apparently that of all of my stops so far, I love Kentucky the most by far. And I just thought, boy, if Arkansas people gets a hold of that, they are going to be so pissed. So pissed. I just thought it was a funny little inadvertent jab because I'm sure Yella, as they're calling him on the team, I'm sure he didn't think twice about it. He was just relaying a conversation, but it's hilarious to me.
I'm going to sit on that one. We'll leave that for the SEC show. We'll leave that there.
Yeah, that'll be great. Well, before we get into the Big East preview stuff, because I do think this conference is interesting in the way I think you and I are going to agree on a lot in this conference, I believe. There's two very, very good teams, and then the rest are kind of like, ooh, wait and see. But before we get into the Big East as a whole here, dude, we're headed to 76 teams. Like, the news was last week that it's, of course, not official yet, but they made it pretty obvious that we're going to 76 teams in the NCAA tournament. I think they even mentioned that it would be 2. So I assume Dayton stays like the play-in game site, but an additional site, there would be 2 sites like that, Dayton and I'm sure somewhere else, that you would have, 6 games or whatever, because it'd be an extra – it'd be however that breaks down. I'm getting all tongue-tied here. But nonetheless, it would be 12 teams across 2 sites, so I guess that'd be 6 games. And they'd expand at 76, and then the winners of those advance to Thursday, Friday, the official start tournament, to get back down to the traditional 64. And, of course, more kind of things are filtering out about how this layout would be. Would now more mid-majors, low majors with great records, maybe not the greatest net rankings, but great records and have good seasons get in now. If, let's say, they lost their conference title game, would they get into one of these play-in games? I just kind of get your thoughts on it, because I know you've been with me for years now on this show about please don't expand the tournament. Please don't expand the tournament. They're going to do it. We've known they're going to do it. So what's your thoughts on the apparent field of 76 coming up?
Yeah, so, I mean, look, I'd rather not expand the tournament than do it. But I felt like this is inevitable, right? The way like you could have gotten me and like the diehards like us is if you were like, okay, we'll expand the tournament, but we'll make sure that X amount of spots go to mid-majors, because like those are the fun teams, right? Like, I mean, what we watched, just pick a team by example. We watched Georgia last year play like 25 games, and you loved Georgia, but like we watched them play a lot.
Yeah.
We didn't see but like 3 or 4 games of Bradley. What it would mean so much more to Bradley, and they were good. It would mean so much more to Bradley or Belmont if they were able to get to a tournament game and win it than Georgia. Georgia, they have all the money in the world. They don't need the extra whatever it is. They don't need the extra attention. They don't need all that whatever. So that would be the way to get me. And instead, seemingly what it's going to be is instead of the first 4 being half at-large teams fighting to make the tournament, and then the other half being just the low majors, just whatever. It seems like it's entirely going to be just the low majors, which immediately, again, this isn't official, and I hope this doesn't happen. This is why I'm saying it. I don't know. That doesn't feel right to me. It feels like you're kind of putting them in a lesser tournament, which just kind of almost, I don't want to say the word segregates, but like that's the only word that came to mind, which I don't really like, but I guess it makes sense from a financial perspective, because like these schools, if they'd be able to get 2, I don't know I think the NCAA calls them units, like 2 tournament units. You get 1 for the first round, 1 for the second round. If you can get that, it definitely helps your institution and maybe more so levels the playing field of the sport, given the NIL and all that stuff era. Again, you are not talking to a financial wizard. I'm hypothesizing and trying to think it through. But that is my initial thought. I don't like it. And I don't know. I don't think we should add more tournament spots and then additionally have all of those spots go to high majors and they immediately get into the field of 64, when in reality, some of those teams are shit. Like, they don't deserve to be there. Like, I mean, we look
and I'm sorry, I just want to add, and I'll let you finish again. We have the current format as it is. The high major teams, like when North Carolina somehow made it last year, they won their game. They were an 11 seed. If you have, let's say, all these 8 extra teams playing in these buy-in games, essentially, you can't have them all as 11s. So will we have more slots open-ended? Does that make sense what I'm trying to say here?
I think so. I think what they would do is they'd have it so all the 16s play in the first round, all the 15s play in the first round, all the 14s, et cetera, et cetera. But or would they just do it where it's like the play-in instead is team number 72 against team number 64 or whatever that would be, and like do a bracket like that and then have it set to play, which would just
that's what I'm asking about the seeding too. Yeah. Like, would they go automatically to the 11 line where they're waiting on, let's say, a 6 St. Mary's like it is currently, or would kind of what you're saying is like, all right, the only spots available, like these play-in winners would go to all the 11-12s or 10, 11-12s or whatever the case may be. And then the teams sitting there, let's say, I don't know, for instance, UNLV's a 7, they're waiting on the play-in winner between North Carolina and Dayton. The winner of that becomes their 10 seed, and you play it down like that. I don't know. I guess we won't know until more details come out. I do have something here, and this is not the perfect way to do this, by no means. But I'm just doing it for argument's sake here. Let's say, because the net ranking is supposed to matter a ton, right? When you're talking about your metrics with your quad 1s, quad 2s, good wins, bad losses, all that good stuff. I'm just going to read off teams 69 through 76 here, right? I think that would be 8, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Well, actually, it'd be to 7. Yeah, okay. So I got it here.
Yeah, you got it. You're good.
So 69 through 76, and I will give you the 4 highest P5 schools and the 4 highest mid-major, low-major in this theoretical what a play-in matchup would look like if we did 4 mid-major, low, 4 high from last year, the final net ranking. So you would have Wake Forest, who went 21-11. Okay. You would have USC, who finished 16-17. You would have UCF, who finished 17-16.
Also not good.
And the other high major one of this, who finished 73rd in the final net, would be Utah, who went a dead even 16-16. The 4
who fired their coach.
Exactly. And the 4 mid to low majors you would have in these theoretical matchups would be 72nd Yale, who went 21-7. Good year. Yale's always kind of been here lately, a very good hell, they had the upset 2 seasons ago in the tournament against that really good Auburn team. So you'd have Yale. You would have St. Joe's at 76. They went 22-12. And then if you went to go find 2 more, you'd have to go below the 76 line. But that would take you to Nevada, who is at 79th, who finished 17-16. And there's Bradley at 80th in the net at 25-8. But the point we're being here, what we've been saying, is if you add more tournament spots, you will eventually have to reward mediocrity. Again, Wake Forest 21-11, you can make case. USC 16-17, not a chance. Utah 16-16, not a chance. And so on and so forth. UCF 17-16. So is that what we're wanting to do? Is add more mediocrity and flat out horse shit to this NCAA tournament? I think
of those 4 teams, the 4 high majors, you said it was Utah, who did fire their coach midseason. Josh Eilert was the interim coach again in a Big 12, which is kind of funny.
Yep.
You said USC, who, if Musselman doesn't have a good year, he's probably getting canned after the end of this year. You said UCF, who have been trying to fire Johnny Dawkins for 3 years at this point. And who was the other team?
Wake Forest.
Wake Forest, who a lot of fans want Steve Forbes gone. So it seems like we're, really, really adding to the quality of this tournament. That's electric.
Yeah, and the thing is, those 4 mid to low majors, I don't think we'd have a problem with. Yale, St. Joe's, Nevada, and Bradley. Nevada would be the questionable one here, but they played in a very good conference in the Mountain West. But Bradley, Yale, and St. Joe's all had 20-plus win seasons, and all were pretty good throughout the year. So we wouldn't have a problem with them. It's the high majors getting rewarded for absolute being dog shit.
Bradley is the best team of those 8, if I remember correctly.
Oh, my God, yes. Yeah. From last season, of course. Yeah. From last season.
They're the best.
But we've talked about this many times. When Coach Parra was on full-time with us last year, we debated it. He wasn't a big proponent of it. None of us were. But we all agreed. Money controls everything. These execs at the NCAA are only looking at TV revenue because whether we hate it or not, we're going to watch North Carolina and Dayton, right, to see who gets the right to go to the first round and get their ass whooped or maybe pull off an upset. And it's going to be what it's going to be. So I guess we have to get used to it. I think they said it'll start not this season, but the season after. So the 26-27 season, it'll be the first official year of the field of 76.
Yeah, we'd watch. So,
sure. it is what it is, right? I mean,
yeah. I guess I don't have a leg to stand on anymore, so I tried.
Yeah. But interesting enough. So let's start talking about the conference we are here. By the way, for those, we're 15 minutes in, 127 people on a 4:30 on a Tuesday, which is awesome. Continue to grow those numbers, guys. We did this without really publicizing this a whole lot, so we appreciate you. Share this, like the video. We are live on the YouTube and the Twitter, so go subscribe to the YouTube channel. That would be greatly appreciated as we start to ramp up our college basketball coverage. We constantly throughout the week have multiple videos, special content, exclusive interviews. We have a lot of great stuff if you're a diehard college basketball fan. And if you like our work, it doesn't take but just a second. Hit the subscribe button and a like on the videos. We greatly appreciate those. DeRosa, let's start. I think how we did it with the Big Ten is we'll try to keep the same format here for the Big East. So there's 11 teams in the conference. I have, and you may find I'm crazy here, but similar to how we did the Big Ten, I went down and marked my teams I believe are NCAA tournament locks and the teams I believe that are on the bubble. And of those combined locks and bubble, I think there is a possibility of 6 Big East teams getting into the NCAA tournament. I don't foresee any more than that, but I think there's a chance they can get 6 in. Do you agree or disagree?
As in, like, do you believe if everything goes right, the conference can have 6 teams in the tournament? Or are you saying, like, there are only 6 teams that have a chance to make the tournament?
To me, I think, and I'm trying not to spoil where I have some of these.
Sure.
I look at 6 teams. If everything goes right, those are NCAA tournament teams.
Okay.
And I look at it, 1 to 2 more, and I didn't put them as bubble because I think there's also a possibility that things could just be like that you're not close to the bubble.
Yeah.
So I didn't really want to put them in that category. I think 6, they get 6 NCAA tournament teams, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think there is a max for 8.
Yeah. Okay. I would say I'd say 8 teams I think have a possibility of making the tournament. I'd say if the Big East got 6 teams in the tournament, that'd be a massive win this season. Yeah. I'd probably expect 4 or 5.
Well, see, that's the downside. I only have 4 locks.
I wouldn't have 4.
One may be controversial that you'll probably have on the bubble, but I feel really good about them and kind of the direction where the program's going, at least for now, and we'll get into them.
We'll get into it, yeah.
But I have 6. I think if everything goes well, the Big East looks like 6 because what they've got the last couple of years. Was it 2 years ago they only got 3?
Yeah,
and then last year they got
3.
Yeah, and then last year they got 4 maybe? 4 or 5? I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah. 4 sounds right.
Yeah, 4, I believe. So the conference is clearly on a downturn as far as overall quality.
Xavier. Creighton, 5.
5, yeah. So as far in terms of quality as depth, it's in a very kind of downturn period right now. But I think if you get 6, it clearly shows signs of maybe some of these middle to bottom teams are kind of getting back in the mix, and I think that's a good thing for the league as a whole. So let's just start from the bottom. And look, and I would imagine, because I've not seen your list this time, actually, I've seen the Big Ten once I knew where to begin. I would imagine we have the exact same team finishing in dead last place. I would think so.
I imagine so.
Such a dramatic pause. I was waiting on you. Look, and I love this coach. I actually think he is a good coach. Yeah. I really do. He led one of the most improbable Elite 8 runs in NCAA tournament history. I think he is a passionate coach. I think if you put him in another environment and actually gave him support from the athletic office, gave him money for NIL, you would see his teams do a lot better. But unfortunately, I think Seton Hall is in a world of trouble this year. And I don't think it's got anything to do with coaching. We'll put it that way. If you look at this roster, I have Seton Hall finishing dead last and over under 3 conference wins. And that may be a stretch. I don't love the roster. Look, you know this league better than I do even. Talk me through, because I really do feel bad for kind of the way things are, considering it wasn't that long ago, a half decade ago, they were consistently making NCAA tournaments.
Yeah. I mean, the NIL thing is obvious, but I'm not going to lie, I really hate talking about NIL. So I mean, with this roster, yeah. The thing with me with Shah was when he came to the Big East tournament press conference at the end of his season, he basically said, yeah, last year the NIT run had us like we were scrambling to put together a roster because all of our guys left after we made the NIT, and so much of the portal was already done. And he really wanted to like identify like character and guys that fit, and they'll do better next year. And I looked at that and I was like, that is a very fair point. I'm with it. I can get behind this. If you can attack the portal now, whatever, you can get something going. And they just didn't. I mean, they had 3 guys at one point for even like mid-March. I think they only had 3 guys on the roster. And it's like, what is going on here? And then everyone else they added was late. And like 4 late additions, it's like, yeah, they're not bad. With this team, I wouldn't say I definitively have them last. I could see them finishing like 9th. That wouldn't stun me. Anything higher probably would. I mean, my favorite addition is Bud Clark. 5'10" point guard, led the country. I mean, he's been top 5 in the country in steals at least the past 2 seasons at Merrimack. Small, but he's like gets in your grill, really physical defender, really quick hands, and he's got a good scoring ability. Unfortunately, if you're a Big East fan, the one game you saw him play and you just watch Big East teams, I believe this is the only game they played against a Big East team last year. I'd have to fully check. Was Butler when he played his worst game of the season. He had like 8 points. But he's a point guard. He's really quick, really shifty, good defender. He can guard you for 94 feet, really quick hands. His con, as a 5'10" guard, can't really shoot. I don't know how many threes he took last year, but I don't imagine it was many. He is best in the mid-range game, and that's kind of tough coming up from the MAAC, a glorified low major league, to the Big East. That's a pretty high jump, right? And then you look at the rest of this roster. AJ Stanton-McCray was pretty good at Samford, that Samford team 2 years back. Played at last year was at Miami. That Miami situation was just a disaster for everyone involved. I don't know. You can kind of give him a pass if you liked him at the time. And I thought he was okay at the time. I didn't think he was like a world beater. And I just don't think he's a world beater, but I think he'll be much better than he was last year because he's now with a real program. I mean, Miami's a real program, but like the last season, they were not a real program. You know what I'm saying?
No.
You know.
Oh, no. Larinaga retiring in the middle of the year, and there was a whole bunch of disarray, and they were bad. I totally get it.
Yeah. And then rest of the roster, Twan Simpkins from Elon, you can kind of shoot it, but like, Jacob Dar from Rice. I actually don't think he's a bad player. I think he's fine. I like Justine Felton when I watched him in high school, but like, again, not all the way in. Trey Parker, an NC State transfer, he was like supposed to be like a really kind of poppin' name for them, and he was just only okay. At the 4, it's going to be Elijah Fisher, who could lead this team in scoring. He is bounced around everywhere. I believe 4 schools in 4 years. Started his career at Texas Tech, transferred to DePaul, actually. He was decent at DePaul, but like that was a really, really bad DePaul team. That was the last Stubblefield team. His numbers were fine, but like they weren't winning games. So how much of it really mattered? Goes to Pacific. Again, another team that was just awful. They were just really bad. And he put up some empty calorie numbers. I think he's a fine player. He's relatively athletic. He can score from all 3 levels, kind of. Like he can score. He's going to put up points. He can put up 12 to 15 points in this league. Just how much of that will add to winning, I'm not sure, but I know he can put the ball in the bucket. And at center for Seton Hall, again, some skepticism here. Just how ready are these guys to impact the high major level? Goswell Arane played last year. He started games, but like he'd start, take the tip off, play the next 6 minutes, and then sit for the rest of the game. And it's just like, okay, he's fine. I believe he was one of the guys that injured Thomas Sorber, if I remember correctly. Or someone. But, I mean, he's a fine player. He's a decent athlete. Just not the most skilled big, but, like, he's big. He gets rebounds. He knows his job. And the backup would be a guy that, if you're a Seton Hall fan, you're really hoping this kid is ready. Najee Hines. He reclassed up. He went down, then he reclassed back up. He's back in the class that he should have or was in before. 6 foot. He's listed 6'10", 265. He is big. He's bulky. He's got good hands. He's a really good shot blocker. He was really impressive on the AAU scene even a couple months back because he was playing at Peach Jam. I believe his team went to the Peach Jam final and lost. Big. He's got some skill, but he's not the most skilled. He's good. You definitely need to get a little bit of weight off him because he would fatigue in those games pretty quickly. So he'll probably you're going to need to get him in basketball shape and definitely get the skills working. It's going to take him some time. I don't know if he's fully ready to be a starter in this league, but Seton Hall is going to have to call on him to do so immediately. You're hoping he's ready for this level. He can be a really big, physical, plotting presence. That's the hope there. Downside cases, I don't know if any of these guys are really stars at this level. I think Clark can play. I think Hines can play. I think Fisher can play. You hope Stanton McRae can add something. I could see them getting up to 9th. I don't think they're definitively last like they were last year, but yeah, that I pitched probably about as optimistic a case on Seton Hall as I could have earlier, and I feel like you could tell I was kind of struggling.
Well, I appreciate it. That's why I kind of let you go. I was jotting some notes down here. AJ Stanton McRae, I think, has the potential to. You mentioned Elijah Fisher. You think could lead this team in scoring. I actually think AJ Stanton McRae could. Yeah. Because if you look at his time at Stanford, and you got to think he's an experienced dude. He's got a ton of starts in college basketball, which experience is always invaluable now. Since we've gotten older, and I know the COVID year is done per se, but he's going into the 6th year of college basketball. He's got a ton of games and a ton of starts under his belt. And he is not a shooter. I think he shot like 32% from 3 last year. But he's a downhill driver. He is very good at kind of getting to the spot he wants. He's not the most overwhelming physical presence, but he's very good at kind of dipping his shoulder, getting to the spot, getting a floater off, getting to the rim, drawing contact. I just don't see shooting on this roster on Seton Hall. Like, I don't see shooting at all. And I know you went through and you did a very good job going through it. I don't know. Could somebody, of course, somebody's going to have to hit some threes, and there's going to be games that Seton Hall shoots 39% where they go 9 of 17 or something.
Yeah,
but
I
on
think
a night in night.
Sorry to interrupt. I think I mixed up TJ Simpkins with his brother. His brother could really shoot it. Simpkins cannot.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I just in this league that's the Big East, that's very physical, especially when you start getting towards the teams at the top of the league that are very defensive minded and don't mind riding you for 94 feet. I think Seton Hall in a track meet game, and when teams are not necessarily sagging off and playing drop coverage and allowing them to get to their spots, off the bounce or cutting actions, I think they can compete. Like, there's going to be games where they play at home and you look up and they've got UConn down with 6 minutes to go, maybe, and you're like, holy shit, how's that happen? Well, they've made some threes they don't normally make. They're playing tough defense, because the one thing about Shaheen's teams, he's going to do his best to get the most out of you defensively. And I think this team has potential to be an all right defensive team. I just worry about who the hell is going to put the ball in the bucket from deep, because if you find out real early, especially in conference play, that a team can't shoot, you're just going to play drop coverage until they prove you differently. Yeah. I think that's going to be their big thing. I expect a lot of Seton Hall games, even maybe in some of the wins, where they only have like 61, 62 points, purely because they can't shoot the basketball.
Yeah, agreed. As I mentioned there, I really thought Simpkins was a better shooter than he was, so that kind of disappoints me. But yeah, I mean, agreed on everything. Really, though, I don't know who's the best shooter on this team. That is kind of a problem. And maybe Fisher can hit some outside shots. Maybe Stanton McRae, just with better rhythm. But yeah, agreed. And I also don't know if Bud Clark can really create at this level. And if he can't, I don't know who initiates the offense at all, like in any capacity. Obviously, he'll bring the ball up the floor, but like, who's the guy you can go to if you need a bucket? And if it's not him, it's probably nobody. And that's bad, because you do need to score points in basketball.
Well, here's the thing, right? You mentioned he's 5'10", and that we've seen in recent years in college basketball. I mean, one of our favorite guards when we get to the SEC to watch is Josh Hubbard, and he is not big at all, but he's explosive, and he can really get a shot off, and he can really make shots. Bud Clark is not Josh Hubbard. Yep. And you look up and down the Big East, who his potential matchups are. They're big freaking guards for the most part. And if they're not the most, like if they're not like 6'5", they're 6'2", but strong and very physical. So I'm with you, man. Like, I'm with you. I think he's in for a world of hurt here if he can't find creative ways to use pick and roll, like especially if he can use the middle pick and roll or a side pick and roll and kind of snake the dribble, keep the defender on his back, and then get to the middle part of the floor and make plays off that, he'll be fine. But if he can't do any of that, I think they're in trouble. So if you have Seton Hall 11th, who do you have finishing dead last in the conference?
Well, I do have Seton Hall 11th, but I could see.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm saying their ceiling could be like 9th.
I feel you. So we both have Seton Hall. This is going to be, I'm sure, already my first controversial thing that I've said today. That's going to piss off a pretty passionate fan base. But I have 10th Providence.
Wow.
I don't love the makeup on paper. I love Jason Edwards. Okay. Watched him all year at Vanderbilt. You and I spent a lot of time texting back and forth and conversating about Jason Edwards at Vanderbilt. He was a flamethrower. 17 points a game, 35% from three, but that's all he is. He's a small guard that loves to shoot, doesn't rebound a lot, doesn't play a whole lot of defense. And guess what's going to happen if let's say he misses a three, it comes long, somebody kicks it back out. That ball ain't coming back inside, boys. He's letting it fly again. And it's great if he's making the shot. And and I don't want to make he's only a flamethrower in that aspect, because we saw in Vanderbilt last year where that wide open 5-out modern offense that Byington runs, he was able to beat people off the dribble and have some very crafty finishes at the rim, some up and under, some snake layups, some Euro steps, all the fun bag stuff that people have today. But Jason Edwards at his heart is a flamethrower. And if he gets going, Providence will get their offense really clicking. However, he can absolutely shoot you out of a ball game. Go look back at the St. Mary's game towards the end of the game in the NCAA tournament. Who took the final couple shots in that game? Tyler Nickel took one. Jason Edwards took like last 2 or 3 and doinked all of them. And they were not the greatest looks, if memory serves me correctly. So I do like Jason Edwards. But, man, that is such a roller coaster if you're putting the ball in his hands asking me your primary point guard. You're going to get very good nights from him, and you're going to get nights as a Providence fan. It's going to be like, why is this guy taking 23 shots per game? Corey Floyd's back, which is good for him. But Floyd, 9.2 points per game, 4.8 rebounds, 2 assists. That's a good stat line. Like, I don't care who you are. That's a good stat line. Very solid. But, again, does this backcourt strike fear when you look at the rest of the backcourt in the league right now? Jalen Sellers coming in, Duncan Powell. Like, again, I'm maybe the crazy one, similar to some of my predictions in the Big Ten. But when I look at this roster, especially when you start getting some bench depth here, I don't know, man. Could they compete towards the middle upper half? Absolutely. Make me look a fool. I'll be the first one to say it. It's not the first time. South Carolina made me look like a fool in the magazine 2 years ago. So this doesn't faze me now. I don't love this Providence team. But I love Jason Edwards, and he's going to be a roller coaster of emotions to watch. He's going to carry Providence some big wins, I imagine, but he's going to shoot them out of some potential wins too. And I think that's kind of the theme of what I see Providence being this year.
Wow. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I came in here fully expecting to be the one throwing cold water on Providence, and you having them like 4th or 5th. So this actually really surprises me. I can't believe I'm going to be the one like praising this Providence team, but I actually think their big 3 is very good. You mentioned Jason Edwards. We know how good Jason Edwards is, right? We know he can score. His limitations are being everything else, just to be kind of blunt about it. But like the dude I think he probably leads the conference in scoring just because they're going to ask him to do so much offensively. But the other 2, I really like Jalen Sellers. I mean, he was all Big 12 honorable mention when he was at UCF 2 years ago. He's coming off the injury, but he should be at 100%. This season, straight up, that UCF team overperformed and ended up keeping Johnny Dawkins around for after that season because Jalen Sellers was so good. He was the best player on that team by a good margin, and they were pretty competitive in the Big 12. If I remember correctly, I think they like qualified for the NIT, like that level. Like they never made the tournament, but like they were in the bubble talk in like mid-February. Like they were legit good. He was awesome on that team. He's a big-bodied physical guard. And he is awesome in transition. If you get him going downhill, you're not going to stop him. Just straight up, you're not. He's a lefty. He's got a decent jumper. I believe he's 37% for his career. He was 44% in both years at Ball State. It cratered to 27% in his time at UCF. I imagine you can get him around that 35% line. He's going to be able to shoot the ball. He is awesome in transition. Not great in the half court offensively, but if you can get him going in transition, he's going to be excellent. And third for me would be Oswin. You are hoping Oswin takes a jump. I mean, former top 35, 40 recruit, reclassed up. I believe he's 21 now. So like really reclass wasn't about. I mean, he's coming back closer to the class he should have been in. Really, I mean, a pogo stick big, catch, dunk, set screens. He's not the type of guy you're going to give the ball to on the block and say, give me a dream shake and then get me a reverse layup on the other side. Lob, dunk, excellent shot blocker. He was second in the Big East in block rate, only behind Terrace Reed at UConn, and second in the Big East in offensive rebound rate, also only behind Terrace Reed at UConn. He got a lot better in last offseason. He has all the tools to take a pretty substantial jump, in my opinion. He's a guy that they're going to need to do a lot because I do question this team defensively. If he is not an elite defender, like elite defender, I think they're going to give up a lot of points, which would be a first for a Kim English team in his time at Providence. But that would be
his teams have been very good defensively. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I will give them that. But that's where, to me, you bring in Jason Edwards totally for offense, and I know he's going to have the ball in his hands. But if you're expecting anything out of him defensively for a coach that is defensive-minded, to me, I think that's where the clash is. Now, I will say, if you can get him to defend just at a C-plus level, now you may have something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so that would be my thought. Like, I think, though, that big three is about as talented as almost any big three in this league, frankly. Get it up to, like, I mean, in that, I have Providence 6th at this point, and I think they're in that 4 through 6 tier is how I would put them, to just put it out there straight up. That, I mean, you ranking them 10 surprised me. And then we look at the rest of the roster. I agree with you. I don't think they have a ton of depth. Shagman is probably going to start at the 4. Duncan Powell comes over from Georgia Tech. He came off the bench there last year. He's moving up here and starting. It wasn't a great Georgia Tech team at all, but he kind of found a rhythm towards the end of the season. He's going to be a junkyard dog, and he's going to hit threes. He's not really going to do anything else. He's not an awesome shooter. He's an adequate shooter, I'd say. And he's a good defender, not a great defender, more tough than he is like really positionally sound, but he should be a decent defender. One thing that really concerns me with this team, though, we've mentioned Jason Edwards again. We're going to talk about Jason Edwards again because like he is kind of the main talking point. He's not a point guard. That's why.
No. Hell no. He didn't even run point like all the time with Vanderbilt last year. Now, keep in mind, they had the whole team listed as point guards or whatever it was. But he didn't have the ball in his hands all the time other than when the ball got reversed to him. It was his time to go create and get a bucket. That was it.
Yeah, exactly. He is not a point guard. He cannot run an offense. And this is a Providence team that in both years under Kim English has really struggled with assist turnover ratio and really struggled at controlling a game and playing at their pace. It really only works if they're shooting ridiculously from 3. You need a point guard to like kind of settle everything down and control it. And I like Daquan Davis off the bench. He started last year at Florida State. They're going to run him off the bench here, seemingly. I liked him last year, but I mean, I think he's a good player. I think he's going to play more than most Providence fans even acknowledge. I think he's going to play like 20 to 25, more than 20, like 25, 28 minutes a game. But Kim English said at one point in the offseason, and this is the most red flag thing I've heard a coach in this league say. He said, Corey Floyd's going to be our point guard. If you were a team last year that struggled an obscene amount with assist to turnover ratio, that could not control a game, and your starting point guard is the guy who was on the roster already, you say, he's the answer. We found it. It's him. That brings up 2 questions to me. Either he was the answer the entire time, in which case, why didn't you turn to him mid-season then and say, you can do this, do it, or you just don't have an answer. It's one of those 2 things. And no matter what, the answer brings another question to me, which is, why didn't this happen earlier? Or what are you doing? And neither brings confidence on this Providence team. That's the main reason I have them 6th. I think they're pretty substantially more talented than any team I have 7 through 11. But yeah, I have questions. I don't love the depth on this team. I don't know how much you're going to get out of Ryan Mila. He was a guy that teams figured out once that he is I'm going to stereotype here. He's a white guy that can't shoot. He's a white guy that can only drive right. Once people realized, wait, this white guy can't shoot, we can sag off him. He didn't really do anything. That was kind of the thing with him. Off the bench, Jameer Jones, Jalen Harrell, 2 impact freshmen. Jones, really athletic. Harrell, more a set shooter. That's really like probably your 8. Definitely have some questions with this roster for sure, and I just do not trust Tim English. So if Josh is coming at it from the perspective, same reason I had Ohio State so low when we did the Big Ten show, which is just straight up, I don't trust the coach. I'm going to bump them all the way down, and if the coach surprises me, fair play. I see how it goes wrong. I can see that argument, but for me, 6 is about as low as I can go. I just think this roster has a ton of talent. Like, you don't take a third-team All-SEC player from the best SEC I think we've ever seen and just not turn in a even middle-of-the-road product, in my opinion.
That's totally fair. Totally fair. I just, again, when you're playing in a league that should be very good defensively, especially the teams at the top, you got to find ways to score. And Jason Edwards, while he can score, until I see the product on the floor, I don't trust Providence to go sustain 40 minutes against teams like Creighton or Connecticut or whoever and give you an offensive product that leaves you satisfied, feeling good about them for 40 minutes, night in and night out. Defensively, they should be able to be there, to your point. But again, the same way, almost similar to Seton Hall, is until I see on the floor with my eyes this offense clicking, I can't trust them right now. I just can't. And that's fine. I'll be the only one that has them 10th, and I'll get hate for it. That's fine. Yeah. I'm totally cool. I'm cool. Who did you have 10th?
They're a loud fan base. 10th for me would be – I struggled with you. My 9 and 10 I have very even. I'm just gonna go with it. I'm just gonna say 10 is DePaul for me. But
I have them 9, so let's talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, this DePaul team, they remind me a lot. You watch the NFL, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, everyone does. They remind me a lot of the Carolina Panthers. You know, at the end of every year, like Bryce Young wins like 2 of the last 3 games, whatever, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, next year's gonna be their year, man." They're ending the season so well, dude. Man, we really like the Panthers are the sleeper team in the country. I don't know if you know it, but the Panthers could make a run for the playoffs. They're the sleeper team, and then they come out, they lose 20-6 to Jacksonville, and they look like dog shit. And you're like, "All right, this is why you don't back the Panthers." Same thing with like those Jets teams, like mid 2010s. They would suck the beginning of the year, win 3 of their last 4, and you'd be like, dude, you know who's coming up? The Jets. And they don't. Same with the Dolphins. They did that a lot too. This team, they were really good like in the Big East tournament. That's just kind of when they hit their stride. But what if they hit that stride in mid-January and they just had a really good 3-game stretch and then they just didn't do anything? We would be talking about this team very differently. There's a lot of people like, DePaul can kind of sneak into the mid-tier of the Big East. Because they return so many of these pieces. You bring back Blocker, you bring back Gunn, you bring back Benson. That's a good core, right? Problem is, that's a core from a team that won 4 Big East games. Those are guys, aside from Blocker, who I think really can take like a substantial development step. Benson and Gunn are kind of finished products, in my opinion. I don't think they're going to take a huge jump from junior to senior year. So from that perspective, that's a team that won 4 Big East games, right? Maybe Blocker takes that step up. Sure, I could see it, and he kind of propels them up, but even then, I'm uncertain. And like they won 4 Big East games. They lost to a dog shit Butler team 2 times by a combined 30 points. Right? That was a bad Butler team, and they smoked them in both games. They were not competitive for the last 15 minutes of each game. That's the team we're talking about here. I feel like we're forgetting that part of the team because they ended the season well. Leighton Blocker's a player. If you can get a lot out of him, if he can take them to the next level and become really an all Big East guard, I think that's kind of what takes them to the ceiling. They could finish in, I guess, the middle of the Big East. Even that feels a little optimistic, but like I could see that, right? Gunn, I think you kind of got the best version of Gunn last year. I think you'll get that exactly this year. Kind of the same thing with Benson. I could see him taking a little bit of a step up, but you still have defensive questions considering he's just 6'8" and he fouls a ton. Really good space eater, though. Like one of those like fun mid-major style bigs coming up to the Big East. He's fun, really tough. But then, like, you look at the transfers they brought in, and some of the guys, it's like, okay, you have to replace Connor Enright, who's now at Indiana. You have to replace Isaiah Rivera, who was their best player for large stretches, who graduated. You have to replace those guys on a team, again, that was not good. It's RJ Smith from Colorado, who was, like, their 5th best guy?
Yeah, I've got notes on him, too. Well, a couple things on him. Yeah.
And then Caleb Banks from Tulane, who's good. He's a good player. He can probably replace a lot of what Isaiah Rivera gave you, but I don't think he's a special player.
So here's my thing, and I've been a fan of Caleb Banks and honestly CJ Gunn when they got where they committed to IU, and they kind of just rotted away under Woody. I never understood it because Gunn, coming out of high school here in the state of Indiana, was known as a big-time shooter. And when he'd get his limited role at Indiana, never really showed it. He went to DePaul last year, and 12.9 points a game. Like, and I do agree kind of what you're going to get. Like, I don't know if there's that much room for a big jump. But, again, 12.9 points a game. 3-point percentage still down. I just think whatever happened between high school and the college years, where in high school he was shooting 45% from three at a big, like, 4A school here in the state of Indiana, it's not translated to the college level, stepping back a few feet with the – that's fine. He's going to be a 30% three-point shooter, 31 sometimes. But 12.9 points a game is nothing to sneeze at. If you can get 12.9 again, 13, somewhere around that, like, that's the kind of production you can ask for a guy like CJ Gunn. I do agree with you with Layden Blocker. 9.5 points a game, 3.1 assists, and I do think there is room for him to really take a step up and those production numbers go up, but maybe be even the leader, maybe the guy on the floor for them at the end of the games. Like, if they are in a close game, give it to Blocker. Let's go see if he can make a play for us. Benson, they brought him back, as you mentioned, 9 points, 6.2 rebounds. Again, nothing to sneeze at. Like, people have this 2K fantasy mindset of, like, if you're not averaging 17 and 11, you're dog shit.
Yeah.
Well, 9 and 6.2 is pretty freaking good. Like, that is pretty good. Can he take a step up? Like, let's say he adds, like, 2 points to his game, which is a big jump, actually. But let's say he gets, like, 1.5 to 2 points extra per game. You're talking about 10.5, and let's say he gets another rebound a game. You go from 9 and 6.2 to 10.5 and 7.2. Dude, he's almost a double threat a night. So it's just small increments of production, and now you've really got something interior-wise. Caleb Banks, I love. As I drop my note card here, Caleb Banks, I love. Again, back to the Indiana days. I thought Woody should have played him a lot more than he did. His versatility, he goes 1 year to Tulane, averages 14.7, 6.7 rebounds, shot 62.9% from the floor while making 34.1% from the three-point line. That dude's a player. I actually think, you mentioned Rivera, I think Caleb Banks in this offense with Chris Holtman, he has the Indiana ties with these kids, knows him, I'd imagine, very well. It's probably the reason he got him at DePaul. I think he can turn Caleb Banks, if things go right for DePaul, I think Caleb Banks could make one like a second-team All-Big East team. I think he could be their best player overall, a dude that can score, rebound, will make shots, hit threes, can put him maybe as a small ball, kind of like four, can slide over to the three-man, versatile. If you put a big on him, he can take him off the bounce. If you put a guard on him, he can go take him down low. I love players with the inside-outside versatility like that. I think Caleb Banks is poised for a massive year, potentially, under Chris Holtman. I love what he brings this team, and I actually think he could potentially give them more than what Rivera did. So I think maybe that's it. At the very least, that is an even one-for-one swap, if not an upgrade for DePaul in this scenario. And then you talked about what's his name? RJ Smith, right?
Yep.
RJ Smith coming in from Colorado. Made 39 threes last year on 101 attempts for 38.6%. That gives him a shooter. If he stays somewhere around that same volume, you get 40 made threes out of him this year, around the same clip. Now you have dudes, and I'm just talking about if these numbers continue or progress, Gunn at 12.9, Blocker 9.5, Benson 9, as we talked about, if he can make that jump to like 10.5 and 7. Banks around 15 and 7, plus the really good shooting splits. And then Smith as a sniper, I think there's something to work with. And I don't think Chris Holtman's as bad as coach as what happened to him at the end of the Ohio State, kind of those last year and a half. Yeah, we saw how good he can be at Butler. And then early days at Ohio State. Then things kind of fell apart. Shit happens. I actually think he's leading a small renaissance at DePaul. And then the one wild card, and don't laugh because he's only played in one college game, but they got him in the transfer portal. 7-1. Come on, Maker. 7-1, South Sudan. It would be easy to be like, oh, this guy's barely played in college basketball. But we see dudes like this that come from like the Sudan or remote parts of Africa or China or wherever the case may be, with that size and rim protection ability, all of a sudden take huge leaps. He doesn't have to score. Like if you can just get trash dunk putbacks, but if he can come in and give you, let's say, 10 minutes a game and block 3 shots, it instantly changes the course of a game. So I'm not throwing him out of the equation yet. We clearly have to see what he looks like. But it could be like this crazy secret weapon that Chris Holtmann has found all of a sudden that you look up and you're like, Jesus Christ, this guy's blocking everything. What the hell? But I think there's something there for DePaul. That's why I have him ninth. I am a buyer in DePaul, not a buyer for NCAA tournament or nothing crazy, but I'm a buyer that they get more than 4 conference wins and the slow progression continues.
Okay. Your points on Banks are definitely going to make me go back and look, rewatch, see if I can see what you see, right? Because I think they're going to play him a lot at the 4, as you were mentioning. Yeah. I imagine he plays the 4 a ton because I think they're going to run a lot of 3 guard lineups. So he was a guy I wanted to like look at a little more even before, but now definitely it's like, okay, if I could even move DePaul to 9th, I could see that. Definitely 9th. I don't think I'll put him above the team I have 8th, but like I could see them at 9. 1, and then 2, I've heard some buzz around DePaul for freshman Cruz McClure. He's a guy I want to look at a little more. I didn't adore the high school tape in terms of year 1 translating, but he's a big guard who can really handle the ball, which could allow them to do a couple things. So that would be another guy I'd look at if you're looking for the upside case. It'd be Blocker, Banks, as Josh mentioned, and Cruz McClure. I do want to go back and look at those guys, see if there's anything more there. But for now, DePaul's just got to prove it to me. And
I agree. I agree. I totally agree. Yeah. But I will say, I do think there is progression there compared to the last few years. Like you can't get much worse. So I don't know if that's a compliment or not, but I do think there's something there where, like, if DePaul all of a sudden is kind of being sneaky and get some wins, I'm not going to be totally shocked. So I have DePaul 9th. Who do you have 9th?
That would be the Xavier Musketeers.
Okay, I have them 8th. We're doing this like offsetting things, so we're talking about at the same time. I love it. Go ahead and tell me why Xavier at 9th.
Yeah, Xavier could be 10 for me. Like it's really if I go back and watch Caleb Banks and I say this guy's pretty good, they're probably 10th. Like that quickly. I respectfully, I do not like the Xavier roster at all.
I don't either. And that's I only gave him respect because I think Little Richard is a good coach. And I think Xavier, I don't know, maybe it's just previous experiences where I'm not used to anymore Xavier being really, really bad. So I give him the benefit of the doubt of some of these other teams. But I'm with you. I do not love Richard's year 1 roster. And let me be full disclosure, I believe in him enough. I think he will immediately get it turned around. He had to flip a roster very quickly, and this is kind of what he came out with. Let's see what next year's roster looks like before I think we really judge his time there. But I think he'll figure it out. But this year, I'm with you. I don't love it.
Yeah. So the start for me,
things are not all right.
Yeah, we'll go down the list first. But the broader point I want to make is before I break down the roster is Richard Pitino's first year at New Mexico. They were 13-19 in the league. He had the 161st ranked team on KenPom. They were not good, right? And then it took him year 2. They make the step up. They're 66th. Year 3, 29. Year 4, 41. Those last two teams made the tournament. One Mountain West championship in there. I don't think they won it last year, but maybe they did as well. I don't think so. But we look at his first team, right? The team that finished 161st. You had Jalen House. That was kind of like the first year he showed up. Jamal Mashburn was another guy. He took a step up. He brought him over from Minnesota, and he was a guy that also took a step up. And you saw those two like prove themselves to be immediately ready contributors, right? And you had both those guys for the next 2 years. So it was pretty good. Next to them, he brought in a recruit. 2 recruits, actually. I don't know if you've heard of them. One was Donovan Dent. I believe the other was GT Toppin, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
I believe that was the same class.
Yeah, I think I've heard of him.
Pretty good, right? Pretty good eye for talent. So it might take him some time, and he's recruiting the high school class now. I believe he brought in Kalik House. I don't know if there's a relation to Jalen House off the top of my head, but it's going to take him some time. And with this roster, I think it was built in mind, similar to the way Ed Cooley did year one at Georgetown, kind of the way Chris Holtmann did last year at DePaul, really, in that we're going to run this team. We're going to see who are the 4 or 5 guys that we think are coming back next year that can help us win. That is how it was built, in my opinion. And
look at the whole lineup. I'm sorry, the depth chart that we have here in front of us. All sophomores and seniors, with the exception of one freshman, and that being Kason Westfall.
Yep.
So he, to your point, he brought in. He's like, I know I need dudes that are older that can maybe contribute for me right now. That's been around the block, and some younger dudes that we can roll over to next year, so we can start building this thing. So yeah, you make a great point there.
Yeah. But some of the transfers that brought in were prominent. I think my favorite's Malik Moore. He comes in from Montana, if I remember correctly. Winner, good shooter, knows his role, is not going to do too much. He can kind of handle the ball, but for the most part, he's a shooter. He knows his role. He's going to defend. He's going to do all the little things that will help you win. He's a really good connecting piece. I think he's solid. I think he's quite solid. Trey Carroll comes in from FAU. I mean, we all remember the FAU team. He was still on that team. He's fine. He's not a guy I'm particularly sky high on, all things considered, but I think he's a perfectly fine piece in the front court. I think he'll be like a respectable Big East big, like the 7th best power forward in the league type stuff. You know what he's going to give you? He gives you energy. He can do a little bit of everything. Jack of all trades, master of none. He can do a little bit of everything. He's pretty tough. He will fight for a rebound. He'll play pretty scrappy. He's also pretty solid. But the guys to me that were okay, if this team is good, it's these guys. All right, Gabe Pizzotto, Anthony Robinson. Anthony Robinson first for me is I think I can pitch the upside case the easiest, which is just straight up. My philosophy on bigs in the transfer portal is just take the high major guy that once was recruited highly because they're just typically better athletes, typically bigger, faster, stronger, all that, and that they can work it out. It takes times big to develop skill. And I think he can develop a little bit of skill in time. He was in a pretty shitty situation with Virginia, given Tony Bennett retiring just before the season began. Kind of tough for him to really get his feet wet. He showed he can be a player. He was decent defensively. It's going to take him more than this year, maybe next year, maybe the year after, for him to be a good Big East big, but he will learn a lot with the time. And I think that's a good thing. And I think he's a high major quality player in due time. Maybe not yet, but in due time. All right, guard from Valpo. He was really good in the Mountain West tournament, but to me, I just don't know what translates. He was a guy that couldn't really create on his own and was kind of slow and was pretty easy to contest. He just hit some crazy shots in those games I remember watching, and he's a tough shot maker, but I think it's going to take him a lot of time for it to translate. And Gabe Pizzotto, who is hurt, he probably misses. I mean, it's probably out till late January is seemingly the indication, which is pretty
just
big.
Shy of 15 points a game, 14.9 at Evansville.
He wasn't efficient at Evansville. He wasn't efficient.
I think he averaged 7.3 3-point attempts per game, roughly somewhere around there. And he only shot 31%.
And he can't really create. He's a fine athlete, but he can't create like that. These are guys that I remember entering the portal and was they're getting these high major interests. I'm like, I don't know. Both of them, I'm they're kind of overrated. And then they both end up on the same team. And it's crap. That's a team I'm going to be an asshole to. And I don't like being an asshole. But I think this roster kind of blows. I think it blows.
Look, you've said everything I need to say. I will say there is something because Evansville playing in a very good mid-major league in the Missouri Valley, anytime you can average right around 15 a game, whether you shoot good or take bad shots or not, your ability to score has been proven for the most part to translate to your next stop, especially if you kind of make the jump to high major. Now he is injured. We're talking about Gabriel Pizzotto here. Maybe Pitino is looking at him. He's young, freshman year, and he got 15 a game basically in a good mid-major league. That let's get him in whatever amount of time we get him back from injury. Should we get him back? Let's build towards the next year and work on some athleticism, work on strength, because Pitino wants to play fast, right? He wants to play fast and get up and go. And maybe that is a guy that you build towards around the future. Good shot, bad shot, kind of the whole thing, especially if you're playing on a bad program and you're a freshman. You don't and he's an international coming from Rome, Italy. Don't necessarily know what good shot, bad shot. Yeah. And if you have a coach that's just hell with it, fire. Well, we need to score points. We're bad anyways. I think Pitino is a good enough coach. He'll coach some of that out of him and try to bring So there is a couple pieces to your point that for the future that could be exciting, but this year, man, I'm sitting here debating if I should put DePaul in 8th over them, but I believe in Pitino enough, and I'm giving Xavier the benefit of the doubt, but I would not be shocked if DePaul finishes higher than Xavier. I actually like DePaul's roster a whole lot better than Xavier right now.
When I was doing the 9-10 thing you asked, it's like, do I just fully put Xavier 10 or do I leave him at 9?
It just feels weird, don't it? Like I think it's part of the reason I putting them down in the bottom 3 feels weird.
I have Xavier. I'm going to do it. I'm going to whenever I release article, another show, whatever, it will be DePaul 9, Xavier 10. Like I don't like this roster at all.
So I have Xavier 8. Who do you have 8?
Oh, another thing real quick. Roddy Anderson could be their starting point guard. I did not like him at Boise State. He was the weak link on that team. At 8, this is where, again, there are 2 teams I would put at this spot. I'm biased, so I'm going to go with the team that isn't mine. I'd go with Villanova here.
Oh, okay. Now we're getting some interesting territory here. I'm curious because Villanova is one of my bubble teams.
Okay. So Kevin Willard, obviously, I imagine part of your argument is Kevin Willard's he wins, right?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. I think this team it's really young. Devin Askew just got hurt. You know Devin Askew very well. He's got hurt. He is out for the beginning of the season. So it's straight up. They're just going to hand the keys over to another guy you know very well, Caden Lewis. This is pretty much just his team. You know him very well. Lefty. He's got game. He's skilled. I think he was a little overrated as a recruit because in the summer, he started very underrated. He was in the hundreds. And very clearly, he was averaging like 20 some odd a game for Team Durant. And it was just like, guys, what are we doing here? And they skyrocketed him up. And I think they went a little too high because he's got size and he is age. He has age. He's 21 at this point. So like he's almost at that point where he's a finished product, right? For a college player, at least. And he's going to get better in the years. But like he's nearing that point of like, with some freshmen, it's like they're 18. They're still getting like physically there. Caden's kind of physically there, right? So like you could see an immediate impact. But I don't think he's like a star immediately. I think it's going to take him some time to adjust to this level. He's going to be dealing with more physical defenders, and he's going to be on a team where he's just not the guy. And winning culture is something that takes time to build, and they had it at Sidwell. I don't know if they're going to have it immediately at Villanova. And there's some weird stuff with his camp, particularly his dad, not to get into like too much drama. But,
I know it. Believe me, the whole decommitment from Kentucky, I heard the stuff that came out.
It's like we need him to play immediately, and it's like, what if it's not best for him to play immediately? But he's going to get that chance, and he's a talented kid. So, like, if he just shows immediately, like, I'm the best freshman in this league, they'll probably be pretty good. Another guy I really like on this roster, another freshman, redshirt freshman, Matt Hodge. Hodge will be my preseason Big East freshman of the year. I really like his game, and I think he's going to be in a role where he's going to be counted on a lot. And apparently last year in practice, he was cooking. And it doesn't really surprise me, frankly. He's big, really skilled. He's not the most athletic guy at all, but he's skilled. He can go from all 3 levels, really good passer, unlike his brother who just committed to Northwestern today. Congratulations to him.
Congratulations.
Really skilled. He can shoot it from the outside, but he's really good in that high post area. He has a whole bunch of bag work moves he can go to. He can finish under the rim stuff, but he can finish in multiple ways, go through you, go around you, step back, hit a jump shot, step out, hit a 3-point shot, even put the ball on the floor and go past a slower big. I like his game a lot. Really skilled, really savvy, knows how to use space very well. He knows how to navigate space. I think that's one of the things with him. He didn't play last year because it took them some time to get his academic records transferred over. He'll be ready this year, and I think he's going to play immediately and be one of their best players. So that would be, those two are like kind of the upside case if they hit immediately. But I think with Caden, it takes a little more time. Where with Hodge, I think he hits the ground running immediately. Then we look at some of the guys that stay or some of the more experienced transfers. Bryce Lindsey, a former Buzz Williams recruit at Texas A&M. He didn't play, transferred to JMU and was solid. Good shooter, good defender, 3-and-D guy. That's pretty much what he gives you, and he's good at that role. Tyler Perkins, Landon went to high school. Went to high school back by me, back home. Solid again. Kind of gives, he knows, you know what he's going to give you. Lefty, inconsistent jump shot. Can't really do much more. Really inconsistent jump shot. At one point, he was shooting like 13 of his last 25. Then the next 25, I think he missed all of them. Very inconsistent shooter. But like when he's on, he's going to be hitting. When he's not, tough scene. Got a little bit of handle to him, but like not a lot. Really kind of just a shooter. Guy you can run off screens. Not a great defender, but like a fine team defender, right? Like these guys fine, right? And then on the inside, Duke Brennan was a middle-of-the-road whack big, and he's coming to the Big East. Not optimistic there. And then with some of the depth pieces, I really love Christian Jeffrey. I think he's amazing. I think he's going to be a really good player in time. Big, physical guard, moves people. He's physically ready for the Big East. He can run point. He's just going to push off people straight up. He's going to move people. He's going to look like he's a senior physically because he's just that damn strong and that damn athletic. You watched Malik Thomas actually the other day. Yesterday you were texting me about.
I did. Yeah.
He was on the same AAU team as Malik Thomas, and I can tell you for a fact in the games I watched them play, probably like 3 games, so very small sample size, right? He was better than Malik Thomas. I love this kid. He is good. Now, granted, that was bad Malik Thomas. You definitely saw good Malik Thomas, and this was the best version of Christian Jeffrey. Malik Thomas is going to be a better college player in year 1. I'm not saying he's not, but Christian Jeffrey is a guy I really like. The upside case for me is there. Con is his jump shot it's completely broken. I would be shocked if he took more than 5 threes this year, and I'd be shocked if he made more than 1 of them. It's completely broken. But he's physical. He's going to move people, and he's going to be in your face defensively. But then the rest of the depth guys, Kapara's fine. Stanford's okay. Pierce isn't going to give you anything. Really, I kind of think it's just those 6. When Askew's healthy, it's those 7. I don't know. Hodge, I'm high on. But my question with this team would be, who is the go-to scorer? I think they have a whole bunch of guys that are great third options. Who's the first option, and even who's the second option?
Look, I will get to Villanova when I get up here in just a couple slots, but guard play will win them a lot. Not a lot, but will keep them in NCAA tournament contention. I believe that. 7th for me is the last team I don't have in bubble contention just yet that I could change my mind on. 7th I have in the league is Butler. And I actually quite like Butler. At least their initial kind of starting 5 that's projected, and some of their bench pieces. Jalen Jackson comes in. You know how I feel about Jalen Jackson coming in from IPFW. Well, I guess Purdue Fort, or I guess it's just Fort Wayne now, right? It's just Fort Wayne. That dude wrote about him in the magazine last year. He was part of one of the better backcourts in low major basketball. I love Jalen Jackson. I think that is a tremendous pickup in this league for your starting point guard slotted into B. I love Jalen Jackson. Finley Bizjack coming back. You know him very well. When he gets going, can really shoot from the outside. Jamie Kaiser Jr., Michael Ajayi, getting him in from Gonzaga is really big because you're talking about an experienced dude that can step out. It looks like they're going to play him at the 4-man role, so you're going to get a 4 dude who can step out and stretch the floor. Drayton Jones coming in to play at the 5. They bring in Johan Traore, who originally started his career at Auburn, right? I think he was with Auburn,
UCSB, SMU, Butler.
Yeah, so he's been around the block, but Bruce Pearl got him to commit right out of high school, saw something in him, didn't pan out, kind of like you were just talking about with young bigs. It takes them a little bit of time. He's been around the block. I think whether he starts at the 5-man or is your rotational 5, I think that is a veteran big that you can at least feel good about, that nothing in this league is going to shock you. And he's a very physical presence inside. I like some of this Butler pieces. Jackson Keith, our guy, 4-star kid out of North Carolina, comes in as a big-time athletic scoring threat. They have him currently, according to what we're looking at here, the depth chart, they have him down the list as shooting guard. But I'm telling you, this kid's, as long as his physical maturity, getting up to the college speed, the physicality it's going to take for the Big East, we haven't seen him yet, or at least I have not seen him yet since leaving high school in North Carolina. But if he matures in his body and has added some strength and muscle, the athleticism's there to play above the rim. He is shifty getting to his spots. He is a knockdown shooter when open on a catch and shoot, got a good pull-up dribble. I think he cracks the rotation. I think I'm trying to phrase this in a way that's complimentary. Should his physical maturity over the summer during conditioning and workouts, if he's added, let's say, 10, 15 pounds of muscle, and that's a lot, even 7 to 8 pounds, to get where he needs to be physical wise for this league, he may start, let's say, 9th or 10th in the depth chart, but I could see by January, when conference play really gets going, that he's made a big enough impression. He is up there in like the 7th, 8th man role and really contributing 15 minutes a game or more. I think, and if not this, like if he doesn't get that this year, should he stay at Butler in the future, I think he'll be their best player in the future. He's got that much talent. Former ECB guest, I think a lot of Jackson Keith. And to have a freshman like that, a 4-star freshman with that type of high upside coming off your bench, again, if things go right for Butler, now you've got quality depth following a guy like Finley Bizjack. I love Jalen Jackson. I'm talking myself into Butler as a bubble team, but I don't want to put the official stamp on it yet because some front court issues. Like I love Ajayi. More that center role and how consistent from the outside can they shoot. Defensively, very up and down, very up and down defensively. But I think this team will be able to score the basketball. And I love potential depth, again, with guys like Jackson Keith, Johan Traore. I think there is a lot to like for Butler, but there's still a lot of unknowns. So that's why I have them 7th and maybe not 6th or maybe even higher than that.
Yeah. I think the upside case is NCAA tournament. I think this is where I could even see Villanova making it. That would be like my cutoff of like, if everything goes right, I could see these teams doing it. Butler's in that category of if everything goes right, I could see it. My questions with Butler are, one, obviously the defense, which I'll get to in a couple minutes, and 2, are the stars good enough to be stars in this league and at this level, right? Because I really like a lot of the connecting pieces.
Well, let me ask you, because you're a Butler alum. Mm-hmm. If you had to say, well, we need an out-and-out star to get us to the NCAA tournament and finish in the upper half of the Big East, who would be your prime candidate? Because for me, it's Jalen Jackson.
I think it's Ajayi.
Okay. I could see that. Big-time experience with Gonzaga, the ability to stretch the floor. I could see that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You painted the start of the case. Experience with Gonzaga, that's always going to do a good thing. And he just didn't fit that Gonzaga team, right? Yeah. Because they ran a lot of high pick and rolls, like that best pick and roll group in the country, right? The thing with Ajayi was he's kind of more of like a face-up 4. He can hit an outside shot, which he did at Pepperdine. He did not last year. He went from shooting, I believe it was like 98th percentile in catch and shoot 2 years ago at Pepperdine to 5th percentile last year. It just completely flipped on its head. Means the correct thing is probably in the middle, believe it or not. But I think he's got it. He's skilled forward, really more of a face-up 4 in that high post. My concern with him was, one, a lot of his buckets out west came on just being more physical. And the East Coast brand of basketball, Big East specifically, is a lot more physical. That can you out-physical guys who want to out-physical you now? That would be my one question. And the other one was he settled for a lot of mid-range jumpers. And Butler 2 years ago, or that's first year, that was actually 3 years ago, they settled for a lot of shitty mid-range jumpers. And you know what that team was? They were shit. I don't want Ajayi settling for a ton of mid-range jumpers. Obviously, you're going to take some, and he's good enough to make them to make sure the defense respects you. So when you pump fake from that range, you can get by him and go. But I don't want him settling for mid-range jumpers consistently. I want him taking some. Obviously, it's part of the game of basketball, and you do need to take some, but not a ton. Like, I don't want half of his shots coming from the mid-range. Just straight up, I don't. And that is a concern of mine. Those would be the two concerns. But, man, this is a guy that was on NBA draft boards 2 years ago when he entered the NBA Combine, ended up coming back to school, going to Gonzaga. Every single school in the country wanted him for a reason. The talent is still there. You can find it. Hopefully they can find it at Butler. I do have my concerns. I don't think he's an elite shooter, but I think he's good. I think he's a very good scorer, very good rebounder. He'll give you those two things for sure. But how is he going to get those points? Is it going to be efficiently? And he's going to rebound. He's going to rebound. I'm not questioning that whatsoever, which is good because Butler has been horrible on the glass the last couple of years.
You know, you were talking about physicality, and we know the Big East in particular is a very physical league. You know who I believe is the most excited, or should be the most excited, for guys like Jackson Keith coming into the program this year, and especially Jalen Jackson? If I'm Finley Bizjack, I am thanking the Lord, because imagine how open he can get if Jalen Jackson or Jackson Keith break their defenders down, or Ajayi even on the face-up. You get him out, let's say short corner, a face-up. You let Finley Bizjack, you run some pin downs coming off of some curls, like banana cuts for him towards the top of the key or whatever the case may be. He's more open because now you have more offensive threats and you have dudes who are willing passers. If I'm Finley Bizjack, I'm like, holy shit, I may have some space to catch and shoot here.
The duo with Jackson and Bizjack, it's Jalen Jackson, because Jackson Keith, of course, his name is also Jackson. Jalen Jackson and Finley Bizjack.
Jack of all trades, right?
Yeah. I think those two, Jalen Jackson, Finley Bizjack, I think they should fit very well together. Yeah, my question with those two would be speed. They're both not, I wouldn't say either of them are fast. But Jalen Jackson, really, really good in the pick and roll. Like, he's just really thrives in pick and roll settings. He knows how to make the right read, whether that's scoring or creating. And he's more of a downhill guy. He was shooting at 40% one year, but his form on his jump shot is not great. He shoots it just over the shoulder and just kind of pushes it. So like, not ideal form. It doesn't look pretty. Like, I kind of think like the 28%, that feels about right to me. Maybe he better looks, he can make more of them, but that feels about right to me. Finley's an excellent shooter, so like, you kind of yin and yang there. Both can handle the ball a little bit to get the other playing off the ball, whether that's Jackson cutting to the basket or Bizjack coming off of a screen to hit a three. They should be able to play well off each other in that aspect. And Jalen Jackson should want to play in a more organized offense, is what I've heard, which is a very good thing, because Butler's offense last year was not very organized because they just didn't have Jimmys and Joes to make it work. They didn't have the guys to. You should this year. My worry would be a little bit on speed. I don't think either of them are quick. And straight up, Jalen Jackson played the three a lot last year. He was a one in high school, but is he ready to go from playing off the ball a lot at the Horizon League to playing on the ball in the Big East? That's a big change. It's a huge change. If he's ready for it, this team could be pretty damn good. But if he's not, it's another Butler team that doesn't have a true point guard. And we've seen how that's worked the last few years, and it's not great. So those would be my questions. Can Jalen Jackson, Finley Bizjack, or Michael Ajayi really become that star that can lift this team? Because Yame Butler knows his role. Corner threes, good, smart defender, very positionally sound, strong, again, not quick, but strong, and a really good passer. Really good passer. High ball IQ, good in the pick and roll too. Really high ball IQ, will know his role, will do his role. Jamie Kaiser has size, physical, played football, very strong, good jump shot, good defender. Again, these are guys that are going to play their role and they will know their role. Jackson Keith, you mentioned all the skills he has. He will play his role. He will know his role. He will star in that role. These are guys, Efeso Oliogu, same thing. Very big, physically strong, athletic as all hell. The most athletic kid Butler has had in a long, long time. This kid is a freak athlete, and in the most complimentary way possible. Dude jumps out the gym. He is strong. He is built like a brick shithouse. I mean, the dude, really athletic, needs to work on his skill development. The skill development is why he's not a 5-star like he was a year and a half ago. The skills have yet to catch up, but if they catch up, he's going to be a really good player. Stink Robinson, local, from Lawrence North, same high school, Mike Conley, Greg Oden, really skilled player. Again, it might take him some time because it's hard for a point guard to develop, but he's got the skills, good defender, kind of a bulldog type guard. Those are my kind of guards. You mentioned the question is the interior. I couldn't agree more. Drayton Jones, he's coming from the MEAC. He fouled a ton at the MEAC, and he's coming from the MEAC. Now he's going to play against guys that are actually his size and actually his caliber of athlete, because he is a very athletic big. Like, that is what he brings to the table. You hope he hits his upside. The skill development just straight up hasn't been there yet. With Butler coming up a level from a South Carolina State team that played a really weird style that relied a lot on their guards, Butler's going to have to take what they saw in him, develop it, get him a little more skilled, but he's hustles a ton, will be aggressive on the glass, be aggressive shot blocking, but that could get him some dumb fouls, and straight up this team cannot afford him getting dumb fouls because Johan Traore, you mentioned the upside case. However, you can't at this point, it's been his third year. This is going to be his fourth year. You can't talk about Johan Traore without talking about the downside, which is he's a horrible defender. Just every team he's been on, there's the Sweeney stat. I'm going to try to pull it up as I'm talking, but I mean, I think it's like teams are like 25 points worse per 100 possessions when Johan Traore is on the floor defensively versus when he's not. And this is a Butler team that has not been good defensively whatsoever in these last few years. You need good defense. And him coming to a team that hasn't played any defense raises a lot of questions, which is, what can you get out of him defensively? And can this team be good defensively? Because they need to be if they want to take that next step.
I agree, man. So I have Butler 7th, outside looking in of NCAA bubble, but I could easily be swayed by performances because there is a lot there I like, particularly in the backcourt and some versatility in the front court with guys like Michael Ajayi. If Jackson Keith, year one, is as good as we saw him as a high school, he is going to really raise the level of the floor for this Butler team. So I have him 7th. Who do you have 7th?
Let me try to find the Sweeney stat before. Give me a second. If this does not work, I will just move on. Yeah, but 7th I also had Butler. So we just did the Butler thing.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
So have you found that stat yet? My phone just died, so now I got to pull up my depth chart here on the computer. Did you say you found the?
No, I didn't find it, so we'll just move on.
You found that stat?
No, we'll move on. Move on.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so 6th here, I have Villanova.
That's where
I told you I'd get to them. This is where my NCAA tournament. Okay, so this is where my NCAA tournament bubble talk begins here. You brought up very good points about, especially with depth, Devin Askew being injured, not coming back, or at least for the beginning part of the year, really puts a damper. Whatever you think about Devin Askew, this is like his, 4th team in 6 years or 7 years, or whatever the case may be. But again, there's still some talent there. Whatever you may think about him, there's still some talent there. And he's been around the block, which would help in a new transition here with Kevin Willard. Kevin Willard is an incredible coach, won everywhere he's went so far. Seton Hall, as we talked about earlier in this show, making NCAA tournaments under him, looking very competent. He goes to Maryland. They make the Sweet 16 last year. They come within an eyelash of knocking off the eventual national champs, the Florida Gators. Yep. He's going to rebuild Nova after a terrible spell with the previous head coach. You talked about, oh my God, I just forgot the point guard's name here.
Caden Lewis.
As my Caden Lewis, thank you. I can't believe I forgot it. Caden Lewis, lefty. He's got a good body already. If you look at the physicality and kind of just his broad shoulders, he's got a good body. Like if he's put the summer work in, like most college kids do with conditioning and everything, like I could really see him withstanding physicality in this league early on. Very smooth lefty, in my opinion, from what I've watched. Jump shot, I wouldn't say it's wet, but it is. You can't leave him open per se. Very good at getting to his spots. Has good vision. You mentioned he rose up the recruiting ranking boards in a flash because of his play in AAU. I believe you give him time to develop, especially as a freshman. He's going to have good moments. He's going to have bad moments. But I think there's going to be games later on in the conference cycle that they win in part due to his play, where you look up and he has 17 points, 6 rebounds, and 9 assists. And you're like, holy shit, what a performance by the freshman. I think he's got that type of potential. You talked about Bryce Lindsey, 13.4 points, 40.8%. You describe him as a 3-and-D player. I think that describes him perfect. Made 87 3-point shots on 213 attempts last year. Yeah. That brother is going to let it fly from deep. But the plus side is he makes almost 41% of those shots he puts up. So that it stretches the floor even more for this Villanova team. I really like Kevin Willard. You talked about, Tyler Perkins was kind of a role player. He made 3 starts for him last year, played in 27 games. He's a veteran dude. What I think he averaged like 6 points a game, give or take. I had it written down, and 6 points a game. Matthew Hodge, you talked about it, the redshirt freshman you really believe in. I'm with you on the front court depth. Really scares the hell out of me. Duke Brennan, Braden Pierce Braden Pierce comes over from Maryland with Kevin Willard. 5 games in total in his college career. Redshirted his first year. Only played saw minutes in 5 games last year for Maryland. So I don't know what you're expecting from that. Like, the freshman Chris Jeffrey, you laid it out perfectly as far as him being a potential big-time bucket getter. So here's where I'm torn on Villanova. The things I love, Kevin Willard. Kevin Willard's a terrific head coach. I love their backcourt. Caden Lewis, Bryce Lindsey, Chris Jeffrey, and when Devin Askew gets back, I think their backcourt sets them up to succeed in Kevin Willard's system. Things I don't love, their front court and depth. So it's kind of pick your poison here. But I believe in KW enough, and I believe that this backcourt, especially led, honestly, by the two true freshmen and Caden Lewis and Chris Jeffrey, I think once they get confidence and more experience in this college game with the speed and physicality and all the things that go with it, I think they lead them to at least an NCAA tournament conversation. I have Villanova 6 because I do trust their backcourt, especially as crazy as it sounds. When Devin Askew gets back, whether he starts, comes off the bench, at the very least, that's a veteran dude that's been around the block for a long time that Kevin Willard can hand the ball over to and be like, all right, let's go try to make some plays here.
Yeah, you mentioned pretty much the upside case. The only 2 points, because I talked about Villanova at length, the only two things I would say is, one, who is the lead guy? And two, Willard had some teams, like a team at Maryland one year, that just couldn't score the ball or that just kind of struggled. Maybe it takes him a year to get to where he wants Villanova to be, but for the most part, he's a decent floor coach. Just there's an outlier or two you can find.
Here's the thing I'll say. There's this big argument, right? We heard it last year with Kentucky, like when the game's on the line, who's the guy you give it to? But they won by committee a lot of times. I think Villanova could win by committee. I get that. Look, I get that. But I think in this scenario, I think they win by committee until maybe one of these guys break out. Maybe it is Matthew Hodge. You talked at length about him. Maybe it is Matthew Hodge because that would be your one true front court player that has some upside that you could look at and be like, okay, if he can really kind of get his feet wet here and get rolling, like we have something here. And if he starts scoring and becoming a threat as like the 4-man, then you open it up even more for guys like Lewis and Jeffrey and Askew when he comes back. And we're not even talking about, because we only look at him as, well, he only started 3 games, come off the bench, played in 27 last year. But we see it all the time. What if a guy this summer in Tyler Perkins has all of a sudden upped his game? Now you have a wing combo right there with Tyler Perkins. They're like, fuck, this was unexpected. But now we have another dude. So I just think that there's pieces there that are very questionable, but there's pieces I really like. And I think people will find out that Caden Lewis will be one of the better freshmen in this conference by year's end.
Okay. Yeah.
So I have them 6. I'm not saying that they're going to win the Big East, and I'm not even saying they're tournament locked, but I think that you will see them somewhere around like 18 wins and on the bubble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so,
I can see it.
Who'd you have? Oh, you said Providence 6, right?
Providence, and we already talked about Providence, yeah.
Okay, 5th. This may be controversial shit too, but man, when you lose as much as they did from some very, very historic teams at this university, I've got Creighton 5th, and I've got them as a bubble team. They had to replace a lot, man. Like you have to replace Kalkbrenner, you have to replace Ashworth. Like they have to replace a lot, and their whole starting 5 is projected to be brand new this year. Nick Graves, Josh Dix, Blake Harper, Jackson McAndrew, a 6'10" sophomore, Owen Freeman, who is actually injured right now.
Yep. He should be back. Sorry to interrupt. He should be back before the season begins.
Isaac Trout started his career over at Virginia. Big physical dude. The one thing I noticed about this Creighton team is how big they are. Like, look at this. Like, there's multiple 6'10s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 6'10s, 7 foot. They've got guards at 6'6". So this is a big, big Creighton team. But there's so much unknown. And I know Greg McDermott. We know the offensive style which he runs. It is still a very modern style where you're going to see a lot of high ball screens with slips. You're going to see a lot of exotic back cuts. You're going to see a lot of inverted offense. If you got a guard that you think that can really score in the post, you'll throw it down there where you put the big up top, have him throw the entry pass. He doesn't have a Kalkbrenner this year. He doesn't have an Ashworth to bail his ass out. I'm not saying he doesn't have good players. But to me, there's still a lot of unknowns about this, and you have to flip the roster essentially. from what was been a very good run the last 3, 4, 5 years, especially during the Kalkbrenner era is what we'll call it. Can Josh Dix or Nick Graves replace the production that Stephen Ashworth or oh my God, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name from 2 seasons ago, the lefty that came in from North Dakota State?
Baylor Shireman.
Baylor Shireman, thank you. They don't have dudes like that as of now. Like Fedor Zukic coming off the bench, 6'6". Can he be your dude that shoots 42% from 3? Like Jason Green, can he be the 3-and-D or the versatile wing that can take dudes off the bounce like we've seen in Creighton's past? To me, there's so much unknown, but I do think there is a lot of potential here. I believe in Greg McDermott, and I think that there's enough here to keep at least Creighton in a top 5 finish in the league and at least bubble contention. But I think this is kind of a toss-up. A toss-up year for Creighton this year.
Yeah, I see. Honestly, I see every point you made. I've Creighton 3rd, but truly a lot of that is just on bat class, on really trusting Greg McDermott, right? Just because, I mean, he's one of the best X's and O's coaches in the country, and he's won with some teams that the roster would not be how I would build a team if I was a coach, of which I'm not nearly good enough to be. Excuse me. But yeah, I see a lot of the points you made. The one thing I will say is the depth chart we're using, I don't think this is going to be the Creighton starting 5 whatsoever. I think it's going to be Dix runs the 1, which is a concern for me. Zugic, Jackson McAndrew at the 3, Jason Green as a more like plotting defensive 4, and then Owen Freeman at the 5. I like
Zugic. I like Zukic, right? I think there's potential there for him to be, like I mentioned, can he be that 42, 43 or higher percent three-point shooter that Creighton has seemingly always had?
Yeah, I think Harper comes off the bench, and I don't think we're going to see a ton of Graves this year. He is a guy who I'm not as high on the profile as others seem to be. But yeah, with this Creighton team, a lot of it is really trusting back class. I have a group 4 through 6 that really will very quickly in the season be 3 through 6. If I watch Creighton, I'm just like, I just don't feel it. I really trust McDermott. That is the reason they are 3rd, and I think they have some fairly talented pieces. I think Josh Dix is going to be one of the best players in this league. I mean, shooter supreme, and he's good enough to put it on the floor and squirt multiple levels. Definitely not the most physical, but Creighton really hasn't needed physical these last few years, and they've made it work. They're going to run some really intricate offense, and he's going to be a guy that's just going to beat you every single way possible. The jump shot is freaking butter, Josh. It is butter. And he can score around the guys. And I think he can handle it. I don't think he's a true 1, but he can handle it.
No, I totally agree with that. I haven't watched film on him and stuff. Here's the thing, though. These Creighton offenses, like, they've worked in a lot of cases because they've had a big, like a Kalkbrenner, that can rebound, block shots, score around the rim, but also elevate your offense. Like Kalkbrenner, I don't know what he finished on his career, but he wasn't like an elite 3-point shooter, but he was very capable of stepping out on a pick and pop, and it elevated the offense to open the middle of the floor up. Freeman's injured. Can McAndrew? I know Trout can't unless he's developed a 3-point shot. He was a big plotting, like, I'm going to be nasty at the rim type player that Virginia loved. Kareem Conan, to be completely honest, I don't know a ton about him.
He's a defensive-minded international player. Probably not a ton of impact year 1. Defensive-minded. Okay,
so we're asking McAndrew or Freeman when he gets healthy again, should he get healthy to play most of the year, to be in that role. And I think that's when Creighton has that big, that's versatile, that can protect the rim, that can elevate the offenses of when it allows their guards. Look what they did to Louisville in the NCAA tournament. Kalkbrenner 8 in that game, but who really put the nail in the coffin for Louisville in that 8-9 matchup in Rupp Arena? It was Ashworth. And why did Ashworth get so many clean looks that Louisville fans are like, why the hell are we leaving him open? It's because Kalkbrenner, you had to double him, but he also, when he elevated the floor on those P&R handoffs or whatever the case may be, or pick and pops, they went with him, and it left Ashworth bang, bang, chitty, chitty. You know what I'm saying? So I think Creighton, they need at least one of these dudes. Maybe it is McAndrews, or maybe it is Freeman when he gets back. I know for sure it ain't Trout. I don't think that brother can develop that type of 3-point range. But they need one of those dudes to develop at least to be in a threat. because then it opens it up middle of the floor for the rest of their guards.
See, I think they're very skilled offensively. The offense is really not the thing I'm concerned about. Owen Freeman, I don't think he's a three-point shooter, like really at all. I'd be pretty surprised if that's an element of his game. He shot 31% last year, but I imagine that's on pretty low volume. But he's really good post scorer. He's got a couple moves he can go to. He's a good post passer as well, really skilled down there. I mean, he was at Iowa, right? You know what you're getting from an Iowa big man. Skilled, can play in the post. He couldn't shoot it personally like a Luka Garza really could, but really skilled. Just good in that area, kind of plotting, but like so many different bag moves he can go to get a bucket.
Well, you mentioned that too. Like how many? Maybe they're changing their philosophies too. Maybe they realize they need more physicality, so that's why they brought in Trout. That's why they brought in Freeman, and they're going more traditional 5-man, where it's back to the basket. We're going to eat up space down low. We'll go 4 out, 1 in, and try to attack it that way.
Absolutely. Just because Greg McDermott is so good offensively and they have so many very talented offensive pieces. Like McAndrew's a laser from deep. He's kind of built like a twig, but he's a straight laser. If you leave him open, he's going to hit it. And he's 6'10". He's tall and can shoot. So everybody wants him, and deservedly so. He's a laser. Dick's laser. Zugic was a guy that didn't get his feet under him solely because it was a really weird situation last year getting him eligible. He really wasn't able to play like January, and it was kind of hard getting him like get his feet wet. He should be more comfortable with the full offseason knowing he's actually going to play. Like that can weigh on you mentally. He's locked in now. He's playing, and that should be like enough to get him back up to speed. He was a guy people thought of really highly when he was coming over. So he's a guy I'm really interested in watching. And then Jason Green is just kind of like a plotting defender. But the offense with Dix, Zugic, Harper when he's playing, McAndrew, Freeman, Swartz from Miami, Hudson Greer, a highly touted freshman, they're going to score points. They're going to score a lot of points. Just, I fully trust that. I'm not worried about that. This offense could be the best in the league. I'd say UConn's is probably better, but like they're probably pretty definitively the second best offense in the league and maybe the second best individual group in the league as a whole. The defense for me is a concern. You have a whole bunch of unathletic white guys, and you are going from arguably the best rim protector in the sport in Ryan Kalkbrenner to arguably the worst rim protector in high major basketball in Owen Freeman. Opponents against Iowa last year, where Freeman and Dix, who's on this roster as well, came from, shot, I think it was like 56% from 2-point range, which is an absurd number and was by far the worst in high major basketball. Like they just could not, stop anyone. 56% from 2-point range, just inside the arc. That is insane, and it's telling you there was no resistance there. And Owen Freeman was the guy who was supposed to provide that resistance, and he's now your big, not Ryan Kalkbrenner. So it's going to completely change everything defensively. I don't think any of these guys are particularly fast to be great perimeter defenders. You'll have length that can work, but you don't have speed. You don't have the guys to bump you off your spot. That you have length. Okay, you can stretch your arms out, and you'll be guarding places. But if you're not able to stick in front of a guy when it's kick, 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 by that time, your length is nothing because you don't have the speed, athleticism to make up for that and make up for those rotations that your length really adds to. So defensively, I have a lot of concerns with this group. I think Jason Green, honestly, yes, Jason Green, in my opinion, maybe Conan, we haven't seen him at this level, and I would have to look at a little more tape to like see if he really is that as advertised, in my opinion. But assuming he's just average, I think Jason Green is the only plus defender on that roster. Not on that starting lineup, on that roster as a whole. I'd say everyone else is a minus or average defender. And
that's something else they're missing too. Is like that's kind of wing player that could go be a 3-and-D, like a Trey Alexander was for him for a couple of years there. So that's a very good point. Who do you
point guard play would be my two concerns, but I have him third. I think that offense is still going to be freaking lethal, Josh.
Who do you have in the spot? I have Creighton fifth. Who do you have?
This is where I'm assuming you're going to have this team fourth. This is where I'd have Georgetown.
Oh, no.
Oh, dear God. Oh, dear God. You are setting yourself up and me for failure, and you're a jinx. You're a jinx. Did you not forget that you're a jinx? You bastard. You bastard.
Look, so, since we're going to talk about them and we have to get this thing going a little bit faster, you have them fifth. I have them third. I think this is
bastard. You absolute bastard.
I think this is the year. Like Cooley's been slowly building this roster. I think they're better than Marquette, and I'll just full disclosure, I have Marquette fourth.
Mhm.
Marquette, their starting five is very familiar. After that, I'm kind of like, let's talk about Georgetown. You have them fifth, I have them third. Let's talk about them because I do believe this team is poised to take a giant leap this year. I have them in NCAA tournament lock this year.
They're not a lock. They haven't done anything in so long. They can't be a lock.
They are a lock.
I hate you. I hate you so much. I hate you. I want something good. Okay. But right, I'm gonna get into lock-in mode just because you're trying to ruin me. And I see what you're doing, and you're an asshole for that. But I won't let it break me. There's a player on this roster, Josh, that I think people have forgotten about. I've looked at like other Big East analysis, and I've seen this person off all Big East teams, and I think people are out to fucking lunch. I don't know how else to put it. I think of that group that I have 4, 5, 6. I'm actually releasing an article at some point where I'm breaking down every 4, 5, 6 team, pros, cons, and where I think they could fit. Marquette, Georgetown, Providence. I think of those 3 teams, I think Georgetown has the best player. And I think people have forgotten how good this kid is. This is a y'all must have forgot season for KJ Lewis. I don't understand how people don't have him on their all Big East teams. Truly, the only thing it tells me is either A, you don't know what you're watching, or B, you're not doing tape. That is what it tells me.
Oh, maybe I'm covering it up. It's down here, but I have him right here.
Yeah, is that first team all Big East?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I agree with you. KJ Lewis is on my first team all Big East too. This is a y'all must have forgot season. Guys, what are we doing here? This guy, before the season, and granted, he did not have the best season with Arizona. We can be honest with that, particularly offensively. This guy was the 20th on 2025 draft boards before the season. Are we forgetting that he's good? Not on all Big East teams. What the fuck are we doing here? What are we doing here? This kid is special. I mean,
he had some really good moments last year, though. Like really good moments. Was it the Iowa State game last year that they tucked down in overtime? Mm-hmm. He was really good down the stretch. I know Caleb Love made the big shot, but KJ Lewis really set him up. And look, I love the addition of KJ Lewis to this roster. Mm-hmm. Part of the reason I got excited, Malik Mack, I think he is poised to see the version of him that we saw at Harvard. Langston Love coming in from Baylor, grad transfer. I know he's injured right now, but we've seen him at Baylor. We've seen him as a secondary ball handler, a dude that's got the ability to step up and make 3-point shots that can get everybody else involved. Good enough defender. I wouldn't say he's an elite defender, but good enough defender. I love what Ed Cooley's doing. I think he's finally got dudes in there that sort of mimic what made him good at Providence. Is they're going to be tough, they're going to be hard-nosed, they're going to be athletic, and he's got some scorers with Mack, Love, Lewis. I'm sure you're going to tell me more about Caleb Williams, what his development's looking like, or Jeremiah Williams, Deshaun Harris-Smith coming in as kind of maybe a bench piece here as like 6th, 7th man. Vince Iwuchukwu, we've seen him at USC. I know he is kind of not really any offensive threat, but he's 7'1", 257. He's a load inside that can at least protect the rim and get you some rebounds. That's about all it'll do. But if that's all you're using for it, then it can set up for some transition offense. Let's say he blocks a shot, then you get it to Mack, and you guys are off to the races. I think this is a not quite perfect, but I think this is close to what you'll see from Ed Cooley moving forward that made him successful at Providence. And that's why I'm a big believer. And I think they are challenging. I think he believes so much in this group. That is why he is challenging himself in the exhibition, going to Rupp Arena, because he believes not just that it's going to be good for his team, but we can go to Rupp and play a potential top 5 team with it not counting for the records, but to see where we're at. And he believes enough in his team that they think they can go there and win that game in the exhibition. I believe in that. I think Georgetown, and I'm not sold on any of these other teams. Marquette at 4th. Like, that's where I have them. Marquette, Sean Jones, Chase Ross, Zayed Lowry, Royce Parham, Ben Gold. They're all back. Great. Continuity is awesome. Ben Gold, 7.4 points per game, 4.3 rebounds, shot 37%, made 53 3-pointers on 143 attempts. Chase Ross, 10.5 points, shot 36.5% from three, only made 38 made threes and 104 attempts, but still a good percentage. And is the leading return steal guy from the conference because everybody else graduated or left the league at 1.8 steals. Other than that, they've lost a ton as far as Cam Jones goes. There goes their big-time scoring threat. Who develops into that? I don't trust it enough. I believe their starting five and Shaka is good enough to get them into a tournament. That's why I haven't finished in fourth in this league. However, they've lost a lot over the last two seasons from when they won the Big East and swept it 2 years ago, that I'm like, fourth is about the ceiling for me. I like Georgetown's upside better than Marquette, so I have them third. But you can't go 1 or 2 because 1 and 2 is reserved for the clearly two best teams in this league.
Yeah, I would agree. Georgetown has a higher upside than Marquette. I think Marquette's a very good floor team. I think, like, if everything goes wrong for Marquette, I still think they finish like sixth. If everything goes wrong for Georgetown,
well, the continuity's there, right? Yeah. You know what you're getting for the most part, at least with Marquette.
Versus with Georgetown, if it all goes wrong, they could be finishing eighth, and it wouldn't surprise me much. I'd hate it, but it wouldn't like surprise me, right? But yeah, I'm just gonna break this down for a second. Here's a player from Duncanville, Texas. Played under coach, I don't know if you know him. He coaches programs. I think he's at Southeastern Prep now. David Peavy. Played under David Peavy. Defensive-minded wing who had early pro prospects and then had an off season, and people kind of forgot about it. Who does that remind you of? It's Micah Peavy, right? Who ended up being a first.
Oh, yeah.
That's Micah
I was thinking of other people, yeah. But yeah.
You know who else that exact profile fits? Fairly lazy comparison, I get it. It's KJ Lewis. That is exactly KJ Lewis. He went to Duncanville. He played under David Peavy, and he's a defensive-minded wing that had pro prospects that we're forgetting about how good he is defensively. KJ Lewis was the guy they put on Cooper Flagg. I don't know if you know Cooper Flagg, Josh, but he went number 1 in that thing called the NBA draft a couple months ago. He's the guy they put on him at 6.
Oh, that's the guy Amari Williams locked up at the end of that game in the Champions Classic. Yeah.
That guy. You know what I'm talking about. You know,
Yeah.
That's the guy they had KJ Lewis guarding at 6'4". Like, yeah, that's how much they believe in him defensively.
But that's what I'm telling you about. Like, this is an Ed Cooley type team where his good Providence teams had like a top 5, top 10 nationally ranked defense. They had athletic, big, strong guards that could go score and make plays. This is why, if you liked his Providence teams and thought, boy, those teams were tough as shit, there's no reason to not think the same about this particular Georgetown team.
Yeah. So that's the KJ Lewis defensive case. I mean, his defensive impact is all off the charts. 2.1 stocks, steals plus blocks per game. Can guard anybody 1 through 4. He was the 4th best defensive guard in the league in the Big 12, according to Evan Maya, despite the fact that Arizona's team defense was very mediocre. Very mediocre. He kind of made that defense competent, even, is really the way to put it. And then we look at his offense, which I think people are sleeping on. They must be, because you can't be sleeping on his defense. It has to be the offense. Through his career, he has a 1.7 assists per turnover ratio. Not great, but he can be a secondary ball handler, and he's going to shoulder some of the point guard responsibilities, much like Peavy did last year. He can rise above defenders with finishing multiple ways. He's got a little teardrop that he can go to, or he's just going to finish right through you because he's 6'4", 210 pounds of just pure muscle and athleticism. He's just going to go right through you and finish over the top. Like, who on Creighton is stopping that? Not named Jason Green. Who on Creighton is physically strong enough to deal with that? The answer is nobody. Who on Marquette is physically strong enough to deal with that, aside from maybe Chase Ross? The answer is nobody. He's going to go through you, and he's going to finish. And his jump shot. Listen, it's not great. He was like 18% from 3 last year, but he came off a season his freshman year where he was 34% from 3. You look at his mechanics, it's better than 18%. It's just flat out is. Is he going to be a lights out shooter? Probably not. PV was 40%. That was a Christmas miracle. I don't think we're getting that out of KJ Lewis. But KJ Lewis, if you look at the way I look at shooting a lot is if you look at a 3-point shot and it's like, okay, it was off, but like the mechanics are good. The next thing you look at is free throw shooting to see like, okay, can this guy just hit free throws? Those are open. Obviously it's very different, but like usually there's an element of that translates. KJ Lewis is an 80% free throw shooter in his college career. Those guys 99.98% of the time shoot better than 18% from 3. They just do. He's just a better shooter than that. This guy's a star. He is a star, and I don't think people are paying attention. This is either y'all must have forgot or y'all never knew who it was. Y'all didn't do your homework, and do your fucking homework. This dude is a dog. Just straight up. This dude is a dog. And then we look at the rest of the roster. You need Malik Mack to take a step up. Just flat out, straight up, you do. If he needs to be a better version, and a point guard going from a sophomore year after playing at Harvard to a junior at Georgetown, not going against a whole bunch of fifth-year guys. He's going to get better. You need him to take that next step, like, massively. And then we look at Deshaun Harris-Smith is actually a guy that in the Global Jam, Kentucky played in the Global Jam a couple years back, right? So you know what it is?
We did, yeah.
Deshaun Harris, so KJ Lewis and Langston Love both did not play. Georgetown ended up getting second. They lost to Brazil in the title game after beating them in the game before. This dude, Deshaun Harris-Smith, looked excellent. Now, granted, he wasn't going against guys as physical as him and as physical as the Big East, and he was just kind of out-physicaling people, but he looked excellent. The jump shot, look, it's never going to be great, but it is much better than it was at Maryland. It just looks better. He actually doesn't have that. He had like this crazy hitch. Like he brought it up, then he brought it back because he's a lefty. I'm using my left hand, so it looks weird. He brought it back, and then he like bring it up and then shoot it. It just kind of looks more like one motion. So like it's better. It's never going to be great, but he can shoot it. He was initiating a lot of offense because he can play as another like secondary creator, so to speak. And that was kind of the role they brought him in, and he looked very good. Look, do I think he's going to be star? No, but I think he can be better than he was at Maryland, and he's going to be an excellent defender. Cooley's fallen in love with Deshaun Harris-Smith, and you can kind of see why. He's just kind of a Cooley guy. The interior is the question for sure. And Langston Love's health, because if Langston Love isn't healthy, Malik Mack is the only like positive shooter this team has. Aside from that, and Caleb Williams, who you hope has been working a lot on his jump shot in the offseason, you hope it's there because he made less than 1 3 a game last. He made like half a 3 a game last year. You need that to get up to like 1.5 threes per game to space the floor and give this offense some respect. So that would be the question, would be a lot offense, but I think this defense is going to be amazing. The bigs are also a question. You hope you can get something out of Vince Iwuchukwu. Amazing block rate, but he fouled a lot last year, but his block rate was off the charts. Fine rebounder, but the guard should be like kind of gang rebounding on this team. Julius Halifanua off the bench. Really skilled offensive big. Really struggles with physicality at this stage, like really struggles with it. He just doesn't really want to go up through people, and he doesn't really invite contact. That's something you got to work mentality-wise, and I think that's, of everything Ed Cooley does, I kind of think that's like his strength, is just getting like guys in that right mindset. So I imagine that they can get Julius in that by like January, February, especially leading into next year. But yeah, I'm sky high on KJ Lewis. I think this backcourt is excellent. Jeremiah Williams is another rotation piece who was a starter at Rutgers last year on a team that should have been in the NCAA tournament if they were well managed and fit whatsoever. But that's another conversation for another day. But yeah, I'm high on this team. The defensive impact on this group is going to be awesome. They're going to be awesome defensively. It's just, even as John Rothstein put it, can they score 65 points a game? 65 was his number.
Well, that was the thing at Providence, too. Like, if you got above 65, then usually those Providence teams were winning games just because they would suffocate, and it was hard to score. Real quick on Marquette, because we need to get to our top two. We're approaching 2 hours here on the Big East Conference, and then start getting some superlatives and wrap this thing up on this Tuesday night. Just real quick on Marquette. I know I kind of laid it out, continuity in the five that's back, that's projected to start. Trey Norman, I think, is expected to come off the bench. He's been around for a year. I don't hate this Marquette team because I haven't finished in fourth, but I don't love it either. They've lost a ton in the past 2 years, and you just lost like 25 points a game in Cam Jones that you got to replace.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. They have to replace Cam Jones, and that's going to be a lot to ask. Who takes that step up as the scorer? I trust the defense. I trust Shaka to manage something and get some player development, right? There's going to obviously be some, but can it happen to the same extent? Do you have an NBA player like you have had on every single one of the rosters Shaka's had at Marquette? I don't know if you have that. And who's the guy? I think Parham could actually be their leading scorer. I like his game quite a bit, but you're asking a pretty big jump from him because I don't think Ross is the kind of guy that's going to go out there and average 15 at night. I just kind of think his impact is going to be more understated, more awesome defensively. He just doesn't seem to me to be that like go-to offensive like guy. Rather, he wants to be the second guy and be awesome in that role, but still maintain that role. And I think he's going to be better than in that role than he was last year. I think he's going to elevate there. I think Parham could lead them in scoring. Skilled forward. He's going to play more his natural role at the 4 rather than at the 5. And yeah, that would kind of be that to it. Con for me would be, I don't know how good Sean Jones is going to be off the ACL. I kind of think Nigel James, the freshman, is awesome. He's a guy to watch for me. Really quick, really good hands. Jump shot's okay. Awesome passer. Gets to the lane, finishes very crafty, really quick. I wouldn't surprise me if I don't know if Shaka's going to start him because Shaka seems like a guy who would just count on the veteran to start. But I think James will probably be the better player come like January even. I think James is awesome. And I think Jones is a guy known for his explosiveness coming off of an ACL tear. I just have questions. But I just kind of trust Shaka. I trust the program identity. I think Ross is going to take a jump. I like what I've seen from Parham. It's just, can everything else work? I've got questions, obviously, but I think they've got the highest floor of a lot of these teams in this group.
And then 1-2, the clear two best teams in this league. And I think, look, we both have UConn winning the league, right?
Yes.
And then St. John's is too. So let's quickly talk about these two teams. I think have UConn in particular a chance to win a national championship national championship. I think St. John's has the potential to definitely make a second weekend and then go from there. We'll start with St. John's just real quick. They bring in this kid from Idaho State and projected to be their starting point guard, Dylan Darling. 19.8 points per game, 3.4 rebounds, 5.7 assists, shot 35.6% from three, 52 makes on 146 attempts. And if you watch his tape from Idaho State, white kid that's kind of shifty. Like he doesn't look like he has elite speed or nothing like that. Mm-hmm. But if he gets to his spots, now I know that's in a much less conference.
I'd be stunned if he is starting. I think they go Ian Jackson, Uzziah Sellers at the three. We'll say it's Hopkins. They go Hopkins, Mitchell, Zuby. That would be mine. I'd be stunned if Darling's not starting on this damn team. He's not.
Well, if he doesn't, like Uzziah Sellers, another transfer coming in, that's either one's fine. Like you bring Ian Jackson in, as you mentioned, from North Carolina. We saw last year the former 5-star kid. He has talent. It was crowded in that backcourt at North Carolina. Same way when we talked about Michigan last week, about how a change of scenery. Now you get more responsibility with the ball in your hand to go produce. Jackson has the ability. He's a New York kid back home in New York. The ability to really go create, can go not only for himself, but for other teammates. I think it's going to be a big thing for him. Rick Pitino went out. Like they could not shoot a lick last year. I think this is where Darling will help this lineup. 35%. He is shifty enough, though. I think whenever he does play, whether it be from starting lineup or coming in as like 6th, 7th man, he is shifty enough, at least at Idaho State, with enough experience. And I think he'll be an offensive weapon for this team. Jackson, super skilled off the bounce. The talent is clearly there. Bryce Hopkins, former Big East Player of the Year. Coming off the devastating injury. If he gets back to full health, we know the type of kid or player he can add to this roster. As a dude, not the greatest three-point shooter, but he's very good in kind of a middle third of the floor. Back to the basket or face up. Not necessarily back to basket, but face up from 15. Take you off the balance, hit that little spin move with his wide shoulders and big body he's got. If you're back off too far, he hits that little 15, 17-foot jump shot. He can step out and hit a three, but it's not his specialty. He's more let's face you up, take you off the bounce type of wing. Dylan Mitchell coming in. Zuby Ejiofor was last year's Big East Player of the Year. What a development he's made from when his Kansas days. You get him back. Josan Sainon, I know you don't like him coming in from Arizona State. But at his best, he is a dude that can heat up, microwave quick. I know shot selection has been one of his key detriments to his game. He'll take some really bad shots. But if there's one coach that'll coach that out of him, it'll be Rick Pitino. I think this team is built to play the way Pitino wants, where they want to be very, very physical defensively. Mm-hmm. They want to limit you to 63 points and under if possible. And I think he's banking on guys like Darling, Jackson, and Hopkins, to even Josan Sainon, to give them enough of an outside threat that you have to respect them compared to last year when you had Kadaria Richmond that could not shoot for a lick, but could attack the rim with furiosity. He's banking on, in my opinion, some of those guys to at least hit enough threes that you have to come out and guard and respect that line out there. And when you do, he's going to kill you on the bounce. And if they can get that, let's say they don't have to be a great 3-point shooting team, but if they can get to like 33%, just enough that you have to respect them, Zuby will kill you inside. That's when you're going to have to overextend, and Jackson is going to be able to beat you off the bounce. That's when even St. On's going to be able to beat you off the bounce. That's when Bryce Hopkins will get you in the middle of the third of the floor and face you up for 15 and go make plays happen. That's when they'll be dangerous. To me, the key mark for St. John's, 33% from the three-point line as a team. The defense will be there. The physicality will be there. The experience will be there, both as the players and as the guy on the sideline. And I think St. John's is back to where they were last year and chasing UConn in this case. I don't think they'll be Big East champs because this UConn team is loaded to bear again. But I really love what St. John's has done.
Yeah, with this St. John's team, I'll have them in like the 10 to 15-ish range. That feels about right to me. Obviously, that's very good. I see some people having them in the top 5 range. I think they have that ceiling, but I don't think that's the median outcome. For me, the first thing would be the defense last year was the second best group in the country. Second best defense in the country, only behind Houston. It's not going to be second best this year. It's not. Ian Jackson was not a plus defender last year. Joseph Sanan is not a plus defender. Sellers is a fine defender. Darling, Park Carr might score on him. But other than that, I mean, Zuby on the back line, Dylan Mitchell on the back line, those guys are going to be very good. And you mentioned it. Zuby's the player of the year in this league. Like, just, he's, in my opinion, going to be. So it's really hard to, like, say anything possibly. Really, there's not much more to say about Zuby other than he's the best player in the league. He's going to average 18 and 10. Just, that's it. That's what's going to happen. Beyond that, Hopkins, it's just coming off the injury. I don't know how well he fits this roster, weirdly enough. I don't know how you work with Hopkins and Mitchell on the floor at the same time, especially if you also have Zuby then on the floor with them, because I imagine you want to play Zuby as much as you can because he's the best player in the league. So I don't know how that fits together, which makes kind of like a weird conundrum for me. And then we look at the backcourt. Ian Jackson is super skilled. I don't think he's a 1. I don't know how you're going to turn him into a 1. I have a lot of questions there. Super skilled, good shooter, but he also was the third best guard on a North Carolina team that was mediocre last year. So got questions there. Is he ready to be the best guard for a college team? I think his pro prospects are very good. What he does translates really well to the pro level. But in the role he's going to be asked to play at St. John's, I've got some questions. Sellers, I think, is very good in his role. He'll be a 3-and-D guy. He'll be very good in his role. He'll take a slight step back, and he was playing second fiddle to Maxime Renel. So I think he's more than okay with taking a step back, and he's going to be good. Sanan is a guy, yeah, you mentioned, I'm not particularly high on Joseph Sanan. He's tall and can shoot it, but he wasn't shooting it well in conference play last year, and he wanted to play a lot more with the ball in his hands, which I just do not think fits. I just don't think he's ready for that. So Jackson, I think, is a guy they're going to call in to do a lot, and I think he's very talented. I think he has all the ability to do so. And you have one of the best front courts in the country. If you can make it work with Hopkins, Mitchell, and maybe the best center in the country in Zuby Ejiofor, that group is going to be amazing. Yeah, that makes him awesome. I've got a lot of questions with kind of the surrounding pieces to it, but they're still going to be a top 15 team in the country because you have maybe the best front court player, and you've got a lot of talent everywhere else that when it gels, they're going to be able to beat anybody on any given night. But when it doesn't, I do have some questions with a team that's able to play them physical defensively, that's able to get up in their grill and take some of these guards out of what they want to do. That brings me some questions on, will they lose some games that you are just like, how the hell is St. John's in this game with Seton Hall right now? Yeah. How it is 64 to, no, not even. It is 44 to 48 with 2 minutes left. How the hell are we here?
Yep. No, I totally agree. This feels like the most stereotypical New York City team you'll find.
Yeah.
Not great shooters, but tough as shit. Will try to bully you, and they've got a coach with the same mentality. This feels very New York City. So I think in return, the people in New York City are going to fall in love with the St. John's team again. But they're going to be very good. Like, they're going to be very good, and you never count out Pitino, as we saw time and time and time again. But with as good as they're going to be potentially, they're still going to finish second because the best team in this conference, bar none, is back on the throne, is the Connecticut Huskies.
Yep.
They had a down year after winning back-to-back, and they still almost tuck out what would be the eventual national champions the Florida Gators in an incredible second-round matchup. What does Dan Hurley do? Well, he goes, we're not tough enough. So I'm going to go bring in one of the best point guards available in the transfer portal, a guy we know at this show very well and his family, Silas Demery Jr. from Georgia. You talking about a kid who was born with his ability to fit a coach better than Silas and playing for Dan Hurley, you're not going to find a better combination. What he does physicality-wise, what his body looks like, his ability to go defend somebody. I mean, you're talking about last year, he's upped his numbers from his freshman year to sophomore year. Last year at Georgia, 13.5 points, 3.9 rebounds, 3.1 assists while shooting 37.4% from the three-point line, which was kind of a question mark his freshman year. Coming into college in his freshman year, he ups it to 37.4%, 58 makes on 155 attempts. Downhill driver, super athletic, 6'4", good wingspan. He is the point guard that will lead this furious, thunderous, whatever adjective you want to use, UConn lineup. Solo ball, 14.4 points a game last year, shot 41.4%, 99 makes on 239 attempts, will defend, athletic dude that will play above the rim. Braylon Mullins, 5-star kid right here from Greenfield, Indiana. The Indiana wanted badly and just kind of stopped recruiting him if you believe some rumors that came out from here in the state. Sniper galore. Sniper galore. You're talking Silas and solo ball that will attack defenses, and you're able to kick out to a 6'6" wing that can shoot. I would not be shocked if conference play if he doesn't shoot 47% from three or better. He is that type of shooter. Plus, he's underrated. That's kind of the quote for most athletic white kids. It's sneaky athletic. But he is kind of sneaky. He is kind of sneaky athletic. And defensively, I think he's got a lot of work to do. He knows that. I'm sure Hurley's been really drilling and getting in his ass this summer about it. But, man, what an offensive weapon. Alex Caravan, a two-time national champion, is back. Will be on, if you're smart, will be on first-team All-Big East. List. Dude can make big-time clutch three-point shots. Don't ask him to go to the free throw line to make them, though, but he'll make three-point shots. He'll defend. Like, he knows Dan Hurley. He's won 2 titles with him. And Terrace Reed had a pretty good year in his first year coming in from Michigan last year. He's back as their center. I can see his numbers going up to like the 14 and 8.5 range. Malachi Smith, they get in from transfer. Jalen Stewart's back. Like, this team is loaded. He's got another national championship contending team on this roster, that being Dan Hurley. They're the best team in this league and going to be one of the top 5 or 6 best teams in college basketball this year.
Yeah, agreed with literally every single thing you said. If there is one person that likes Silas Demery more than me, it's Josh. So he said literally everything I would have, but he is the perfect point guard for this roster. They needed someone big, someone physical, someone who can get to the lane and kick it out and still also has a jump shot. Not an awesome jump shot, but like everything else he does is truly
37%.
Awesome.
Think about that's just from freshman to sophomore.
Yeah.
Could he get to 40% this year?
Yeah, he's going to be hitting, man. He's going to be hitting. And he gets in the lane, and it's just so physical. It is literally the exact piece they were missing. You mentioned Braylon Mullins as a sniper. Solo ball. It might be the best returning shooter in the country. The dude doesn't
41.4%, 99 made threes.
Every time that ball leaves those fingertips, you think, oh, motherfucker, it's going in. Like, God damn it. Him and Mullins out there, it's like, oh, Jesus. They're not going to miss.
Think of how easy it'll be for Silas. It's like, oh, shit. Like, I'm going to bully ball you if you're not physically strong enough. Like, some of these teams we talk about, like Creighton. Like, how are you going to stay in front of Silas going downhill with the head of steam? And then the intricate offense that Dan Hurley runs, like this NBA Euro-style offense, you don't think that all these guards and wings aren't going to get wide. I'm talking wide open jump shots. Yeah.
Or, right, oh, yeah, we got to rotate help. We got to help. Silas Demery's getting in the lane. We got to help. Who are we going to help off of? Solo ball? No, I'm good. I'm guarding Braylon Mullins. I'm good. I ain't doing that. My guy ain't scoring. My guy ain't
Caravan on a pick and even Caravan on a slip to the corner. Yeah, like
no, I'm not helping off that. I'm good. It's like, like, damn, dude. Yeah. They got 2 of the best shooters in the country. Caravan lights out, can do it all. Terrace Reed's going to take a massive jump, in my opinion. I mentioned the Oswin stats earlier. Terrace Reed led the league in block percentage and offensive rebounding percentage. Amazing. He can score with his back to the basket. He's got some skill there too. Yeah. It's hard to talk about how good a team UConn's going to be because everyone is just awesome. You're overstating the same shit over and over. Like, man, this guy's awesome. No, this guy's awesome. And then they've got depth. Malachi Smith is a top half point guard in this league if he was a starter.
Mm-hmm.
He's the backup. Jalen Stewart is a top half forward in this league if he was the starter. Again, he is the backup. This team is fucking awesome, Josh. I have them second in the country, and I'm not changing that. That's the highest I've seen anyone have them. Houston, UConn, Purdue.
I mean, Eric Ribe, right? A 7'1" freshman.
He's a little soft at this point. He is soft at this point, but he's got the skill.
Right, but I was going to say, you know what Dan Hurley does with these big fucking 7-foot young dudes, right? Like what he's able to help them do. Is Jacob Furphy, is he related to the Furphy that played?
No, he's not related.
Okay.
I thought they were for the longest time because they're both from Australia and they're both from that same Australia like basketball global program, but they're not related.
So full disclosure, I've not seen any film on him because he is like, I probably should. Yeah, I would imagine being 6'6", being 6'6" from Australia, he can probably stroke it as well.
Yep.
So like they're going to have shooting depth. You know, they're going to defend or Hurley's going to just murder them in practice and they're going to be tough as shit. Look, they're a legit candidate to win 3 national championships in 4 years. That's insane. But he went out and built him another roster that's just perfect for him. Yep. And they're going to be the best team in this league. They're going to win the league. St. John's will give them a battle. They'll have 2 very competitive games, maybe 3 should they meet up again in Madison Square Garden. But UConn's going to run through the rest of the Big East. I'm not saying they're not going to lose. Like last year and even the time they won the title, they went on like a 4-game losing stretch during the middle of January. So they're going to lose a couple games in the league. But when it's time to turn it on, when we get in the back half of the year towards March, they're probably going to be rolling. You'll look up and be like, holy shit, Connecticut's won 8 of their last 9 or whatever the case may be. They're the best team. They're going to win the league. Let's get through awards real quick before we get out of here. Yep. Big East Player of the Year.
Zuby.
I've got Zuby as well. I actually had Caravan for the longest time. I just thought with this talent around him, he will shine as a veteran dude. Yep. But I switched it to Zuby. Big East Coach of the Year.
You have Ed Cooley, don't you?
I do have Ed Cooley.
I'll tell you. Let's ride.
You going Cooley?
I'll go Cooley as well.
I mean, look, if he finishes
actually,
high,
you know what?
I think he would.
You know what? Because I think they're the second best team in the country, I'll go Dan Hurley instead. They'll give him another one. Yeah.
Okay. To me, if Georgetown finishes as high as I have them at 3rd, even fourth, the turnaround from what they had been, to me, still deserves Coach of the Year in the league.
Yeah,
Freshman of the Year, I have a Caden Lewis simply because he will be tasked with ball handling duties without Devin Askew. I think he's good enough to go get his own and create. I think at the end of the year, I know it's crazy because we just raved over Braylon Mullins.
Yep.
But I think Lewis's accomplishments, especially if he could somehow get Villanova in the NCAA tournament, will edge out barely Braylon Mullins. Give me a Caden Lewis Freshman of the Year.
I'm going to go on the same team. Just he's going to have the ball a ton, and straight up on UConn, there's so many mouths to feed that, like, is Braylon Mullins the best freshman in this league? Yes. I'm going to go Matt Hodge. I'm going to go Matt Hodge. Same mouths to feed. I think he's going to be amazing.
Newcomer of the Year, to me, this was very easy. Silas Demery.
We agree. Silas Demery.
And then the traditional 5, none of this stupid shit that you see with these leagues now, where the Big Ten came out theirs today, and it's like 9 players on the first team. 10. We do stick to the 5. My first team all Big East preseason, Alex Caravan solo ball from UConn, Chase Ross from Marquette, because I will think that he'll put up numbers on this. I think KJ Lewis and Zuby Ejiofor.
Okay. So the Big East usually does 6. My 6th would be Josh Dix at Creighton, but since we're not doing 6, we're doing 5. I think I agree with you on all of them but one. I'm going Zuby, obviously. I'm going solo ball, Alex Caravan. I'm going KJ Lewis. And the one I think I have different from you, I'm putting Silas Demery there.
I should have, and I thought about it. I was like, do I really want to put 3 Connecticut players? So I try to spread the love. And no offense, Silas, we love you. We think you're going to have a phenomenal year. But I just try to spread the love just a little bit so I didn't have overwhelming newcomers. So
makes sense.
That's the Big East. We went 2 hours, 15 minutes. We had 500 of you tune in and watch us on a random Tuesday. College basketball, you can tell, is on its way back. We appreciate the love on this. If you're watching on the YouTube, or even if you haven't and you're watching on Twitter, please head to the YouTube channel. Go hit that subscribe button so you know when we go live from here on out. It helps us out. Plus, hit the like on the video. It really, I promise you, it helps us out for future what we're planning on doing this season. It's been a great episode. That's the Big East. We will come back at you here very soon in a couple days. We will have the Big 12 conference, which I think clearly we know the team that's probably going to be there to beat, but there's going to be a lot of interesting storylines surrounding Kansas, Arizona, Iowa State. Can they get back? Cincinnati, what does that look like? And so much more. But until then, we appreciate the hell of you guys for watching 232, and we will catch you guys down the road. Peace.